argue maybe in 10 years that the drafting of Jordan Love was the most important draft Brian Gutekunst never had. You got to get the quarterback right. They're not taking a quarterback tonight, but whenever you're drafted a quarterback in the first round, that's the draft you have to get right.
All right. I gave it a shot. But they do have 3 picks in the first 45. I can't remember the last time that was the case. Maybe you can. I didn't look it up, but they could end up with more if they decide they don't want 13.
This is a different draft than I think in most years, in that when you're talking about tight end being one of the positions where there's all this crazy depth, that just tells me there is not crazy depth at other positions that you typically see populating the first round. Cornerback, wide receiver, right? That draft already happened. Best wide receiver draft in history of the year, the Packers drafted Jordan Love. So I'll be curious to see how the board falls. I think if you're a Packers fan, you want as many quarterbacks as possible off the board before pick number 13.
Yep.
Packers aren't going to take a quarterback at 13. They will take at least one quarterback in this draft. I have no doubt about that. But it's not going to be at 13.
I want the guy from Georgia because he's older, I think, than Jordan Love.
He might be.
I think by a year.
Bennett?
Yeah, he'd be good. And I'm sure they can get him in the late rounds. Yeah, I am certain 100% that one of the 2 second-round picks will be a tight end. I don't think that he's willing to Goody's willing to move up to the first or use the first round if somebody's there. But they're like 3 or 4 really good ones, and one of them has to be available when the Packers pick 42 or 45.
So the last time the Packers took a tight end in the first round, if my memory serves, was
Bubba
Bubba Franks,
yep,
right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
And Bubba Franks was a serviceable player. He's a pretty good player. He's an okay player. In fact, he looked like he was a steer getting wrestled to the ground every time he was tackled. He couldn't block terribly well. He wasn't terribly fast. But he was a pretty good tight end.
Red zone, didn't he? Was he really good in the red zone?
Pretty solid in the red zone. You need a more versatile threat than Bubba Franks if you're going to go with a tight end in the first round.
Well, are they going to go blocker or pass receiver? Because some seem to be better blockers. Like Kincaid, the kid from Utah, is a fabulous receiver, right? More, whereas the kid from Notre Dame, Meyer, which is it? Meyer, I think.
Meyer.
He blocks better. And then Washington from Georgia. The first rule about everybody from Georgia is great athlete, can do everything, big as a house, fast as a cheetah, and then in what way. So I would assume one of those 3 will be taken by the Packers.
In the second round?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You don't think in the first round?
I don't. But I want to emphasize, I have no clue. Though I do have my first guy, he's been doing a annual draft for 39 years. It seems like a problem. And I've never had an interest in this, maybe you have, about trying to predict which players a team is going to take. All I've ever wanted, just give me a sheet of the top players based on ability. And if you're the best judge of talent, then I figure that's the guy Ron Wolf would hire. Any team would hire, right? If you can assess players that you think the right ones that are going to be really good, and we can work from there. But, 39 years. He says the Packers will take Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher from Iowa. Though he didn't even start, or I'm not sure how accurate that is.
So oftentimes you get to the NFL draft, and I think we fall into the trap as fans of trying to assign need to the Packers. Well, they need this, right? So that's why you need to focus
what is their
the
number one
need
this year? Oh, I got an answer for that.
Okay, but I think you're going to get varied opinions on that.
Yeah,
right?
but we're right. There's no way there's the need equal to tight end. They have no tight ends, and everybody understands, and I think that's one thing maybe you learned from last year, because Tunyon wasn't the same, that it hurts. You got to have a good tight end. One, it seems to be important in LaFleur's offense, but in the red zone, I don't know. I don't see how there can be any position because I don't think they have one. Do they? Do they have a starting tight end? I don't think so.
You're talking about Tyler Davis. You know what I mean? It's just that's kind of where you're at. Josiah DeGuara is an H-back, but these aren't real threats at all. So I would agree with you that tight end is among those positions of greatest need, maybe the position. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go after it with your first-round pick.
Right, but I'm saying one of the 3.
If you think there's enough depth, right?
Right.
If there's enough depth at that position, you can wait until the second or maybe third round and get someone who can be a contributor in year number one, right? This is why I think it's so interesting, because we all get sucked into the world of mock drafts, right? Man, I'm reading these things in February, the day after the Super Bowl. And that's before the combine, that's before pro days, that's before everything. But it's a trap. And the reason why they are out right around the turn of the year is because everybody reads the mock drafts. But Mel Kiper's board, Todd McShay's board, all of the mock draft experts, Peter Schrager's board, is likely very different than Brian Gutekunst's board, right? So you can't get sucked into the trap of, oh, this guy just, he had a second-round grade. The Packers took him in the first round. Well, you don't know that he wasn't a first-round graded player in the Packers mock draft or their big board or whatever you want to call it. So keep that in mind as you're going throughout. There's some names that pop off the list because what they do at the combine, the speed guys, the underwear Olympic guys, right? There are more positions, I think, in play for the Packers at 13 than usual, right? They take an offensive lineman. Okay, that makes sense, right? They take a safety. Yep, that makes sense. They take a wide receiver. Sure, yeah, they need it. Right?
I think
there's so many different positions.
I think an edge rusher is so huge.
Oh, sure.
Because they
Rashawn Gary's going to miss some time.
Correct.
Right? Significant time.
Okay, who's their edge rusher?
Enigbare, right? I mean, you're talking about kind of the random depth of the roster sort of players. Nick Perry ain't walking through that door, Homer. It's probably a good thing.
No. Antonio, one of the guys I talked to, he has the site Green and Gold Draft on Twitter, and he tries to spend all his time studying the Packers and what they've done in the past, because it's basically been Ron Wolf's approach for, 92, 18, 40 years. I mean, Thompson, Wolf, and it would seem that Gutekunst is the same, so we'll see as to the kind of players that they seem to like. They've never taken wide receivers in the first round because the numbers seem to say that there's a greater risk of failure with a wide receiver in the first round. And the Packers have done very well early in the second round. So why would that change? Why would that change now?
Wouldn't that be the ultimate trolling, though? Wouldn't that they never ever drafted a wide receiver in the first round with Aaron? It's been since Javon Walker since the Packers drafted a first round wide receiver. That was Mike Sherman. Wouldn't that be the ultimate trolling? That in the first season without Aaron Rodgers,
it would appear to be the trolling.
It would be.
But if I'm Mark Murphy, and I'm in there and he does it for troll, I fire him right after the pick.
Well, they also need.
Well, I know, but I'm saying I don't.
Wait, but they also
it doesn't
need
fit
help.
What the Packers have done. They haven't looked in the first round, so we'll see if that fits again. The offensive line, there have been some, but you look at somebody like Bakhtiari, and he was third round.
Fourth round. So
they've been able to develop that. The most of the early picks in recent years have all been defense. Some haven't done, there have been some good ones and some not so good ones. So I don't know why they would vary this year from past years. I mean, while he didn't take a first-round wide receiver, he got two young wide receivers last year. I'm assuming there'll be another one to take.
Well, and a third in Samori Toure was taken a little bit later in the draft, and he'll factor in somehow.
We haven't talked safety. They have to take a safety.
Safety's a mess
right
now.
So what's the past history? Well, I remember when they took Nick Collins, it shocked everyone because he was Bethune-Cookman?
He was Bethune-Cookman,
right.
The second pick for
Ted
Thompson.
And I looked at that.
Manager.
So there's, the way they judge safeties and whatever they saw and how he did it, that certainly was a great pick. So I've always thought that Goody is kind of one of these guys you always hear measurables, but maybe everybody does that in analytics now. Somebody who's fast and if the measurables are good, he'll take a chance on that player. But I'll have to check here.
Is it the draft philosophy of Brian Gutekunst in the first round? Just take the best player on your board from Georgia.
Has been recently.
Just follow the lead.
Right,
they love that program.
Right, and I would say if you believe in measurables, you're going to draft from Georgia or maybe some Alabama because they've got the best athletes. So at whatever position, and I think the safest bet until further notice is somebody from Georgia. Now my mock draft guy in his 39th year, Mark Zelmer. Again, he has Iowa. I got to look to see. The big story with Georgia is Jalen Carter and how far he's dropped because of being a part of the Well, he was in the car, right, that had the accident where 2 people died. He wasn't driving, but he was thought at one time to be the first player possibly taken in the draft. He has him at 5. Georgia has there's an edge rusher, Nolan Smith, at 18 from Georgia. That's where he has him going at 18. Broderick Jones, tackle from Georgia at 15. They could certainly use a tackle. We don't know how much longer Bakhtiari.
For sure.
Bakhtiari basically acts like there's a huge possibility that this will be his last year. And he wasn't predicting, he's saying, look, I understand, I get the numbers. Either they're going to sign me to extension or cut me after this year.
So offensive lineman is a very interesting position for the Packers right now because I agree with you. It's a bit of a transition position. You've got Elton Jenkins locked down. Bakhtiari's on the big contract, but you mentioned his injury history. I don't think he plays out that contract in Green Bay. And you had a rookie last year in Sean Ryan, a third-round pick, another one of the third-round
And I think Jason
keep-ups.
said Jenkins could be the left tackle if Bakhtiari leaves.
Jenkins, he could be the everything.
Yes.
Right?
Any position.
And look, I think, Josh Nijman's a fine player. It's good to have that level of depth on your roster. But here you go again with a position that, if you want to go back to Ted Thompson, the Packers have done very well in the mid-rounds. They have not really
Right.
I don't want to say they flopped in the first round. I mean, Brian Bulaga was a pretty solid player for the Green Bay Packers as a first-round pick. They've had some hits and misses. But they've done incredible work in the middle rounds with guys like Corey Linsley and T.J. Lang and Josh Sitton and David Bakhtiari. Elton Jenkins was a second-rounder. That felt a little early. But look at what he's developed into, so you can't argue the pick at all.
Well, we know one thing, though. We don't know. But if he's available, Skarantz's grandson is going to be taken. The assumption is that he'll be taken before the Packers pick. But if he's available, I think he's just thought to be so good and played tackle at Northwestern, but I think some say he could be a guard. But
it'll be looked at as a boring pick, but you know what? It may end up being a very effective pick, too. So I think it's easy to get caught up in the sex appeal of the skill position players because they're just a little bit more on display and on an island, and it's their speed that stands out in their hands and their contested catchability and all that kind of stuff, their ability to run at the football in their hand. You don't often see the work in the trenches done by the offensive linemen taken. But you think about some of the better overall early picks the Packers have had, going back to Ted's last season as general manager, or last year, his last draft, Kenny Clark was the first pick toward the end of the first round, right? One of the youngest players in the draft. And had tremendous upside coming out of UCLA, and he turned into a Pro Bowl caliber player. So doesn't always have to be sexy. You don't have to know the name or the school to know that players selected in the first round have something. They have something special that you're trying to capitalize on, and most of them have a very high ceiling.
And yes, the reality is that however good or bad the draft is, it won't seem as important as it isn't as how well Jordan Love plays. Given that record, that's going to determine what pick they have next year, and then they're also going to have the Aaron Rodgers pick. I am head of the state organization, wanting Aaron Rodgers to play 65% for the Jets to lose as many games as possible, because that means the Packers get a better pick. The likelihood is the Jets can only be so bad because at some point, if they were really bad, they probably wouldn't play Rodgers at that point,
or he's hurt.
Or he's hurt. On the other hand, I think they're going to do well. I think they're going to have a good record and make the playoffs. But as far as the trade goes with the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is not done with the Packers because his performance in the Jets has an impact on the team. And how great would it be, to have 2 early picks in the first round next year?
I want to get your thoughts coming up next on how early is too early to take a quarterback. Because I guarantee you that Brian Gutekunst is going to pull the trigger on a quarterback.
Yep.
But how early is too early? I do have some historical perspective to share as well.
Do we need to take a break?
I think we do.
All right. I don't know the status
More green and gold draft talk coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Jason Fitz.
God, I love saying I told you so. Almost as much as I love saying I was right. I don't get to say it very often, so let me toot toot. toot my own horn for a second. I told you the NBA had no choice but to suspend Draymond Green for a game. And what did they do? They suspended him. This was wildly predictable because, see, Adam Silver can't care about the fact that it was a playoff game. Adam Silver can't care about the fact that this will change a playoff series. Adam Silver can't care about the context of anything that's coming without at least factoring in the context of what happened. I don't believe Draymond was actually suspended for the stomp. I believe Draymond was suspended, as I said on Fitz and Harry before anybody else. I believe he was suspended for one simple reason. After being ejected, he decided to treat the moment like a WWE event, riling up the crowd, saying things you probably don't want to say when you're within earshot of the commissioner of the NBA, and then going to your press conference and instead of saying, man, my bad, I just got to be better in that moment, instead of taking any opportunity to take some blame in it, instead coming out and saying, well, I'm just not that flexible. Draymond created this situation, not the NBA. In 60 seconds, more on the Warriors.
Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially since you're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening that self-awareness, because sometimes you don't know what you really want until you talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Visit BetterHelp.com/score to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/score.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
So now what? Because realistically, if I believe, as I do, that the suspension isn't just from the stomp, it's from everything else, and the NBA's made it clear it's the body of work that got us here, now Draymond specifically has to adjust. The problem is he's given us no proof of concept that that's something he's capable of. He's given us no indication that he's willing to back down from who he is, even if he knows what could be coming. This was a very specific example of an avoidable moment by a player that simply needed to get control of his emotion. The Warriors now can't trust Draymond to do that, ever. And if you can't trust him, how can you continue to put him on the court with your team? That is the most interesting part of all of this. With the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Jason Fitz.
It's time to get outdoors with help from Fleet Farm. Check out top brands in grass seed, fertilizer, and mulch. And get your yard ready with lawnmowers and string trimmers. Plus, don't miss out. Pick up Superior Weed and Feed for just $15.99. And don't forget your garden. Stop into the garden center today to pick up your favorite plants. Find everything you need for your backyard and patio at Fleet Farm during the Get Outdoors event. Going on now.
The Club at Lac La Belle is the birthplace of golf in Wisconsin, with a rich history you will feel once you arrive. Experience a round at the Club at Lac La Belle. The redesigned course is open to the public 7 days a week. Schedule your tee time today at clubatlaclabelle.com. This is a golf destination that you will want to play over and over again, and enjoy fine dining and event space after your round. An historic past meets a vibrant future. Go to clubatlaclabelle.com to start your journey.
You're listening to Draft Night coverage, live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Yes, the Q Club of Wisconsin, Homer along with Greg Metzik at 8 o'clock. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, the first selection. I would assume 7:10. The draft will start at 7. I don't know, the little chit-chat, so maybe it'll be 7:15 before the first pick. You had some historical information on the Packers?
Yeah, there's a new sheriff in town, right, when it comes to quarterback play, right? The Jordan Love era is going to begin with year's training camp and this year's regular season. Jordan Love and Danny Etling will not be the only quarterbacks rostered when the regular season begins. In fact, I'm not quite sure that Danny Etling's even a part of the team when the regular season begins. So you go back to Aaron Rodgers' first year as a starter in Green Bay. It was 2008. 3 years into the system, right? He is learning the system, ready to take over from Brett Favre after a contentious offseason. The Packers select Jordy Nelson with their first pick. He's actually a second-round pick, but their first pick was Jordy Nelson. And then it was Brian Brohm, the quarterback, in round number 2.
Yep.
Matt Flynn in round number 7. And there were draft experts. Merrill Hodge was on stage saying, you know what, I think Brian Brohm's going to outperform Aaron Rodgers. You know what nobody ever talks about? Was there a chip on the shoulder of Aaron Rodgers when the year he became starter, the Packers drafted 2 quarterbacks? I'm sure he felt secure. But there were some who were thinking that Brian Brohm, hey, look, this guy, he's going to be something after his college career, and he was nothing. He was awful.
Yeah, he was horrible.
And Matt Flynn was good enough to hang around for a while and get a decent contract from the Seahawks, and then really just didn't take it seriously, and Russell Wilson happened as well. But for a historical perspective, the year Aaron Rodgers became starter, 2 quarterbacks were selected, and one in the second round. So how early is too early to draft a quarterback here? If you're Brian Gutekunst.
Well, that's easy. I would say there's no reason to think he wouldn't do exactly the same way. I don't remember that well, but when you look back at it, you go, that was crazy. But, how can you – they had to have drafted Brohm because they thought he was going to be good. Now, was he a security blanket or insurance against Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. It never took place because Brohm was horrible. And so there was never any real competition. It wasn't like Brett Favre and Mark Brunell when Ron Wolf drafted those. So I just don't think anything's changed in terms of the way they do things. So the problem is, and again, I'm just repeating what people say, aside from the top quarterbacks, they say the rest of the quarterback class is the worst ever, as if a number of players have already decided to come back to college. What we don't know, but people may refer to it, it's now, for the first time with name, image, and likeness, the possibility that players decide to stay in college for more money. They're going to make money. So what if you're going to make X amount and you were going to be a 4th-round pick? Somebody told me that a school offered a current quarterback who's in the draft $5 million to come back to college. And I don't have any reason to doubt that that's accurate. But all right, so you're one of these quarterbacks. Many have all gone back in. So I think after, what is it, the 5? Is it 5? Do I have it right? The top 5 that they're talking about that are up there that are good?
Yeah, Levis, Richardson,
right. They're saying
Bryce
it would
Young,
make sense
CJ
after
Stroud.
those to not draft a quarterback for X number of rounds. There's some kid who's from Division II, a school I've never heard of, Shepherd or something. I'm not sure if that's the kid or the school, but anyway. So that may change. I think people would be surprised, not because of the Packers. I don't think there's a quarterback that fits in terms of the 2nd, 3rd. I think it's more like the 5th, or 4th or 5th before
I think that's probably right. I remember when Brohm was drafted, that was an eye-opener. That was there's your backup plan if Aaron doesn't work. Well, look out, there's going to be great competition.
And that lasted like about 2 days.
Well, and I think Aaron probably knew from day one, like, this guy is nothing. And that's
Correct.
why it was never talked about, like, wow, was that another chip on your shoulder that nobody's talking about? Well, no, Brian Brohm was awful. He was terrible. And Aaron knew that from the start. And he got along with Matt Flynn very well, and a 7th-round pick is not likely to penetrate the starting role, at least not in year number 1.
When you bring that up, Brian Brohm is the one guy that people forget. Because
he was forgettable.
Well, no, but if they took – adding that means that if they took a quarterback in the 2nd round this time, people shouldn't go, well, how can they do that?
Exactly, that's the point.
They did it before, and so it isn't reflective of anything about Jordan Love.
They need depth at the position.
Right.
They don't have it right now. Danny Etling is not depth. He's on the roster, and that's it. So I guess technically he's depth, but Danny Etling's got to play a football game this year. It's going to be a problem.
So Tausch would have been on the team then.
The year they drafted, yes. So that was 2008.
So we've got him in a few minutes. We'll ask him.
That's a great question.
Think he'll tell us how bad Brohm was?
I don't think they're great friends, so yes, I do think he'll tell us how bad he was.
And I don't – even now, just thinking about it, it just seems odd to me. And maybe that means that they weren't as sure about Aaron Rodgers as I thought they were. I thought back then you heard from people that he'd done enough things in practice that really impressed people, much more so than Jordan Love, though I think that seems to have changed in his last year, that there were people saying how much better he looked. If they had that confidence in Aaron Rodgers, I would have. And I don't remember. I thought, what the heck are you?
That's why I think it's an
Taking a
interesting
second-round
question
pick.
because everything that we learned about Aaron Rodgers through training camp is that he was making wild plays every day.
Right.
And guys in the locker room were talking about it during training camp. And you saw him in preseason, okay. You saw him against Dallas. That was kind of a welcome to the NFL moment for him. I remember seeing him play against the Patriots at Lambeau. He broke his foot, and everybody thought, oh, he's injury prone. Aaron Rodgers never going to last a year in this league. Well, he proved everybody wrong that way. But there wasn't a lot of data with regular season snaps when he took over at quarterback. And it's the exact same with Jordan Love. Those data points were missed because the Packers started winning games at the end of the year. As soon as they were mathematically eliminated, it was Jordan Love's turn. And it never happened because of special teams and the defense, not because Aaron put them on their shoulders. That's not how it worked. But they were still alive. They still had a shot, which means Jordan Love had to sit. So those data points, they're not crystal clear right now. You've got a little bit here against Philly. You got a little bit there against Kansas City in a spot start. And then it's training camp and preseason. So that's what everybody has to look at inside
Right, and
Green Bay.
I always bring this up. There's been a major controversy about Jordan Love going all the way back to when he was traded. And you even have it now, and people can't believe when Mike Martz says, this guy's going to be a great quarterback, or other people have. Well, it was thought in his junior year he was going to be a great quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. And then his senior year, he had a terrible year with a new coach and different receivers and new plan. But some people still were convinced how good he was going to be. And I've always thought Gutekunst was one of those. He was too good to pass up, thinking if we draft this late in future years because of Rodgers, we're never going to have a chance at anybody as good as Jordan Love. So the debate over how good he is the same today as it was back then for people who thought this guy could be one of the best players. Or I've had a few people that have said he's going to be a Pro Bowler.
I'd have to look back and see how many snaps Aaron had in his first 3 years.
He had more.
He did have more than Jordan
Right.
Love. I just have to go back and look and see exactly how much more. I think there were probably more data points for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But to my initial point, they still drafted a second-round quarterback.
Well, and we could – they're not going to take one in the second round today.
I don't think they
because
will
there's
tomorrow.
no one that is good enough to be taken. So that if they take one until the 5th, we could easily argue that he's no different than Braum. Like, they would have taken one earlier, but there was no one to take. I mean, it would just be reckless. There's literally, I don't think I'd have to look. There's literally like no quarterback. Now, somebody might think he could like one better than most people, but there's no reason to take it until I really think the 5th round.
I want to ask Tausch about that 2008
Yeah,
draft.
give us the real.
Right? I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? We got a
Yeah.
new cat taking over. Brett Favre is gone, and like, oh boy, we're loading up the room here.
Well, and in all the history, when you have people talk about it, nobody ever brings up Ryan Braun.
no,
No,
at
it's
all.
not. So
I've tried hard to forget him, but I had to resurrect him in my mind for this draft program.
Well, how bad was he? And as much as the discussion is about throwing away the draft choice of Jordan Love, if they threw one away with Brian Braun.
Hey, sometimes you just know, and I've talked to Ryan Longwell about this. Remember they drafted Brett Conway?
Correct,
And
yes.
Longwell was a guy they just brought in because, well, we'll just get him in here so Conway doesn't have to take all the kicks. Ryan Longwell has told me, I knew the first day that Brett Conway wasn't going to make it in the NFL. I said, how did you know? He said, every time he did something in striking the ball, it was different. He didn't have a repetitive process.
'Cause he
it
was
always different.
He clearly had success. Was it Penn State?
Penn State.
Or they wouldn't have taken him. But anybody who was around Ron Wolf was never surprised because he always said, this is really hard, and I want as many choices as I can. So he never assumed, I'd say other than Brett Favre, that the person he was taking was so good that it wasn't worthy to have as many picks, as many choices as he could find. And my guess is that they kind of have the same philosophy. And when I say that, everybody should know there's a Hall of Fame general manager, a
Right.
Hall of Fame talent scout going all the way back to the Raiders, and he says it's so hard,
And you'd
I want as many picks as possible.
You'd probably grade all his picks as a B- or C+.
Right.
I'd be willing to bet. With Ted Thompson, too. But they got the quarterback right.
And then, as he said about somebody like Donald Driver, who you were hearing almost from day one. Goes, if I would have been that smart, I wouldn't have waited till the 7th round.
Right, exactly.
So, all right, Mark Tauscher is next. What will he tell us about the forgotten Brian Brohm? Next.
We're back with draft coverage coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
A wide array of opportunities abound at Waste Management.
I've been with Waste Management for 11 years now. I started out in our call center, transitioned over to our dispatch department, and I am a supervisor in my current role. I've worked for companies where a lot of the promotions are based on seniority. It's never been that. It's about proving yourself, getting in there, showing that you're comfortable, you're confident, you're ready for the challenge. There's been a lot of room for growth.
Join the Waste Management family. Just search online, Waste Management Careers.
That poor shotgun of yours. It only sees the light of day during a hunting trip or two each year. Don't you think that bad boy deserves to be fired year-round?
Bring it to Waukesha Gun Club, one of Wisconsin's largest shotgun-only clubs.
Their Sporting Clay League begins April 29th with trap leagues on May 13th.
Form a team with other friends of neglected shotguns or join a team of your own.
Waukesha Gun Club has over 98 acres and is the perfect place for business or family fun outings.
Learn more at waukeshagunclub.org.
Hello, baseball fans. Jeff Levering here, calling the action with the amazing team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And what a roster we have. Up to bat is Pella's award-winning Easy Slide innovation. Wow, what a smooth glide. Pella's sliding windows are incredibly easy to maneuver, wider than they are tall. They glide horizontally, letting in lots of natural light and unobstructed views. And that roll? It's a double play. Pella's premium roll screens operate like magic. Close the window and the screen rolls away completely out of sight. Now that is slick. On deck is Pella's Reserve Series patio door. Just look at that slide. It's a perfect fit. Pella Reserve patio doors offer virtually unlimited sizes and custom colors, and they're backed up with the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Pella sure is one heck of a 5-tool player, and you can bring any number of their all-star innovations home for 0% for 48 months when you order by April 30th. Visit PellaWI.com for this amazing deal.
Certain restrictions apply.
Life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance because you'll feel protected no matter how the wind blows. All so you can keep enjoying the home of your dreams. And our expert agents can help you save up to 23% when you bundle home with auto. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. American Family Insurance. Get a quote? Find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Explore Milwaukee's iconic Harley-Davidson Museum this spring. The Harley-Davidson Museum campus boasts one-of-a-kind shopping with exclusive Harley gear from 2 new retail stores, an interactive experience gallery, and the Motor Bar and Restaurant. Riverfront dining with daily specials like fish fries and barbecue. And make it a point to ride over on May 4th for Bike Night, where you can stock up with up to 70% off on deals from their factory shop. The Harley-Davidson Museum, 15 years as one of Milwaukee's top tourist destinations.
Elevate your next dining experience at the Bridgewater Modern Grill, featuring a seasonally driven kitchen inspired by a custom oak-fed grill. You can expect to enjoy a menu filled with wood-fired flavors and classic comforts. With the longest riverfront patio in the city, add the Bridgewater to the top of your list for your weekday lunch, weekend brunch, or dinner out with friends. Visit the Bridgewater Modern Grill at 2011 South 1st Street in Milwaukee's Harbor District or bridgewatermke.com.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
This is our exclusive draft coverage. I just don't say exclusive. Q Club of Wisconsin and Waukesha Homer along with Greg Matzik. The draft itself starts at 7, assuming the first pick will be, and it's 10 minutes each pick. The commissioner, if he talks, so I'm saying the first pick will be announced somewhere around 7:15.
Are you looking forward to the awkward hugs?
Yeah, I'm kind of amused by it. I don't think a hug is appropriate, but I'm not in charge of hugs.
Okay, so you wouldn't hug Roger Goodell on stage if you were drafted? What would you do?
I think, I know there's got to be something other than a hug.
He's waiting for the hug, though.
No, there's got to be something. We'll ask Tausch.
Okay.
No.
I think Tausch is a hugger.
Okay, fine. I'm not necessarily a hugger. I hug, but I'm a draft choice. I'm not hugging the commissioner.
Well, he's
old man.
Sort of your boss.
Fine. I don't hug my boss. How many times have you hugged Craig Karmazin?
We've done like the hand slap.
How many hugs?
Bring him in. 3?
Yeah.
Maybe, but that's a hug.
Well, I know, but I'm saying
hug.
I get drafted. I'm 20 to 21. I'm walking up, seeing the old man. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I don't. You know, he can hand me a
walk right by
jersey.
him?
No, you can have it. We'll let Tausch joining us now for what's the proper behavior for the commissioner in a draft choice. Hug is not proper. Tausch, how are you going to vote?
No, hug is proper. And, Homer, you would hug him because he would
No!
hug you.
No, I don't.
No, you would. I'm telling
When
you.
did hugs become like a handshake?
2008, I think, is when it started. And then, obviously, COVID limited the hug game, but that's back, baby. And the commissioner's gotten into it. He likes it. He is now – you're going in, you do a handshake, but then it turns into like that half-man hug, and then it becomes an embrace. Some guys do the pickup with the whole full-load hug, but for the most part, it is the half hug, pat a guy on the back, and then go get your jersey and get ready to go. That's how it happens.
The more awkward, the better, as far as
Now,
I'm
look,
concerned.
hold on. You asked the players,
Players,
young men, if they want a hug or not. 90% would say no.
90% do it.
Well, yeah, because they don't have a choice.
Best day of their life.
Having an
You always have a
anonymous
choice.
vote, an anonymous poll. Tausch, what are the players going to say? What percent would say they want to hug the commish?
I think it'd be a 50-50 deal. Maybe 50-50 if you're looking at it anonymously, but I don't think anybody is mad if they end up having to hug the commissioner. I think everybody's pretty content, and it's the only time you're probably going to ever hug the commissioner. And for most of these players, it's the only time you're going to meet the commissioner. So let it rip and then just be done with it. That's what I would say.
All right, Tausch, I need to ask you about 2008. Homer and I were just talking about this, and I raised the question. I want to ask you as well. How early is too early for the Packers to draft a quarterback? And the reason I brought it up is because after 3 years of data collection on Aaron Rodgers as he was studying under Brett Favre, he took over in 2008. And then in the second round, the Packers drafted Brian Brom. So it's a kind of a two-part question. How early is too early? And as somebody who was in the locker room, part of the team when Aaron Rodgers was taking over for Brett and when a second-round draft pick was used on Brian Brom, what's swimming in your head when all this stuff is happening?
Yeah, I think this year you should not see a quarterback off the board until Saturday with where Green Bay is. Now, I think it'll be fun to watch if Will Levis or C.J. Stroud fall to the Green Bay Packers this year, and he is well, either of those guys are graded in the top 10 for their draft board. What do they do? Because you have moved all in with Jordan Love for this year.
You're going to trade that pick, and you're going to get a ton because there'll be somebody that wants a quarterback, right? If one of those guys are available at 13,
yeah,
don't you
Homer,
assume?
that's what, if you remember right, that's what the Packers wanted to do in 2005. They wanted to trade and give Aaron Rodgers a chance somewhere else, and nobody would take him, and the grade draft was so high they had to take him, and obviously that turned out to be great for the Green Bay Packers. In this case, I just think you've made this call. You made this bold move to trade Aaron Rodgers and to go all in with Jordan Love for at least 2 years is basically what you've done. And to do anything where you do a Brian Brom or do something this year with a first or second round pick, I think you're kind of defeating the purpose of what you're trying to get done. And also, I think if you're really being honest, I think Green Bay is looking at this and saying, all right, let's see what Jordan's got, and if he's not good enough, I want to get a bunch of assets that we can go and get one of those two studs that everybody's raving about next year. So that it's two reasons why. Mainly, let Jordan Love play, give him some talent around him in these early rounds, and then you can make a really good evaluation going into next year's draft, seeing how this next season plays out.
All right, we also wanted to know how bad was Brian Brohm, because history is forgotten that the Packers took a quarterback with, I think, picked 56 the year that Aaron Rodgers became the starter, and history tells me he was so bad that, like, in 5 minutes, everybody knew he was and not any good, and I don't know how quickly he was. Was he released that year? Did he stay?
No, he was not. No, he wasn't released. I'll put it to you this way, because, Homer, you know I'm not a player disparager. I will tell you the truth. And Brian Brohm, we knew for Todd McShay, all these guys that thought he was going to push Aaron Rodgers. I'll say this, there was not one person in that locker room, even Brahm's brother, if he had been up there watching practice, would have ever said, yeah, Brahm's going to play ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Nobody ever for 1 second that watched any of the practices thought that. We all thought, boy, it's going to be a dogfight between Matt Flynn and Brian Brohm, and it turns out that wasn't even much of a fight. Matt Flynn was markedly better all throughout that camp, and that's why he ended up being the backup, and Brian Brohm was third string.
Well, but what? His arm wasn't that good?
No, it was not. It was not.
What? How? I don't think players know that soon. I would think not about a player,
Homer,
especially one who's picked 56.
Homer, players can tell pretty quickly. And you can look at it from 100 different reasons. If you want to go arm strength, if you want to go ball placement, if you want to go with anticipation of where where the route's going to be, you can go through all that. And we probably, as current players, watching all the film that we do and watching especially during mini camps and training camps, I'll just reiterate the point again. There wasn't one player or one coach that would have told you, Brohm is going to be pushing A-Rod for reps this year. Never happened, and I don't think anybody even thought that was that wasn't even part of any equation.
I'll defer to Greg here in a second, but I have one last quick thing. Did anybody say, how the hell did they take him with pick 56?
I would bet there were many people, including Ted Thompson, that probably would say, if I get a do-over on this, I would take that do-over.
Time to put your GM hat on here, Tausch. You have the pick at number 13. What's your ideal scenario, right? The intersection of need, position, trade down. How would you handle pick number 13, understanding that you don't know exactly how the board's going to fall, but what do you think GM Brian Gutekunst is salivating over the idea of?
I think Goody would love. I think Goody understands and saw enough film and watched enough this last NFL season to know that this offense needs to be better. They need to be more consistent. They need to be better in the red zone. So I think if they can get a guy that they really love, whether it's one of the tight ends or if it's NJS from NSJ, whatever it is from Ohio State, if they can get one of those guys at that spot and that's where they have him slotted, great. But if they could trade down like they did with the New Orleans Saints a few years ago, when Davenport got picked and then they got the Saints first rounder the next year and then they traded back up to get Jair Alexander, I think the more picks they can accumulate this year and next year, first and second round picks, and try to get one of their guys, even if it's a 20 or 25 spot guy, that is what I think Goody would love to do. But if there's a guy at 13 that you love and you think will instantly help Jordan Love be successful and make this offense more dynamic, you pull the trigger, you hand that card in, and you move forward with it, because that's what this league is all about.
Robinson, come on, even a running back who they say is a great receiver?
If they have him graded as high as it sounds like everybody does, he's not going to get to 13. And if he does, grab him. Absolutely.
I kind of think you just take the best player from Georgia. And just follow that
yes.
lead, Tausch, and you're going to be just fine. Take the best player on your board.
And there'll be a
who
couple
also
of them.
is from Georgia. Yes. There's plenty of talent down there.
It does seem like Goody likes the SEC, and he loves, what Georgia's had to offer. And Georgia's defense has obviously been fantastic. Their entire operation it's been the best in college football for a while now. So I would hope, but I think Packer fans are never disappointed if Brian Gutekunst grabs somebody from the SEC, particularly Georgia or Alabama.
Have you moved on from Aaron Rodgers?
Say that again?
Have you moved on from Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. I've been working through that Elizabeth Kugler or whatever her name is, stages of grief, and I was stuck at bargaining for a long time, and then I was kind of in the grief stage really until yesterday's press conference. I'm good. I'm ready to see this new version of the Green Bay Packers. I'm happy Aaron's happy that he's in New York, happy Green Bay completely won the trade versus the New York Jets, and now I'm moving on. And I think most Packer fans feel the same way as I do.
All right, Aaron Rodgers, 15 years as starter, 1 Super Bowl appearance, 1 Super Bowl ring. What do you grade him? What grade do you give him for his 15 years quarterback, Green Bay Packers?
What do you think he's going to say?
I don't know. He could say A. He could say A-, given his playoff performance in recent years. B+, B-. What's the you don't think, can he?
I would give Aaron Rodgers' career as a Green Bay Packer an A- grade. And I think if you look at this thing holistically and what he has done for this team, for this city, and the fact that he did bring one home, disappointed not more, but all the playoff, his career in Green Bay has been, outside of Bart Starr and Brett Favre, pretty much unmatched. And
I give him an A. I think anybody who plays on your team and is a first ballot Hall of Famer, he gets an A. What more can you ask for?
Well, what you can ask for is playoff performances that you win and you play better and you come up bigger. The only reason I would knock him down a tick would be because of his postseason, and especially late in his career. That's it. Regular season-wise, you can't ask for a better quarterback play than what he gave you. But
I think you have to win. Go ahead. You have to win one. You got to have one ring. If he has no ring, and you're still first ballot Hall of Famer, I'm thinking you probably still got to give him an A. How many people in the history of the NFL have been first ballot Hall of Fame?
I feel like you baited Tausch with this question.
Hey, what grade are you giving his? Hey, what grade are you guys giving his postseason performances as a whole as the starting quarterback for Green Bay?
A C.
A
C.
I'd probably give it a little better. I'd have to look at some of the games they scored a lot of points and the defense, but I would probably be a little better than that. But
isn't the postseason where your legacy is made? Isn't it postseason where you kind of finalize what your standing is with the greats? We're not talking about a fifth-round pick from Vanderbilt that had a really nice career. We're talking about one of the greats to ever do it. We hold them to higher standards.
I wasn't baiting you into anything. I brought it up because I've given it some thought, and I just think it doesn't matter who you play for. It doesn't matter what position to play, unless you're a punter, but I don't think a punter can be first ballot Hall of Famer. If you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, for whatever team you play for, you have to get an A.
A was in Tausch's response. He just threw a minus. But A was there.
I gave him an A-, and I think, as I said, postseason-wise, Matt gives him a C. You won't give him a grade. The postseason.
No, I'll give him a grade. I would give him better than a C because again, he won one. I would probably give him, and there were early games in the play in his career where they just he didn't score enough points. The biggest problem that he and Favre had is they didn't have enough good defenses for the majority of their career, and the years they did, they won it. So I would probably give him a B-. But his play in the playoffs, San Francisco, especially San Francisco, and especially.
So how are you giving him an A? How are you giving him an A if you give him a C- or a B- in the postseason, which is the most important part of football?
Because
what are you doing? What are you doing?
I just said it. If you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, you have to get an A. Right? I mean, let's say, well, how many first ballot Hall of Famers? I'll have to look that up.
Says who? I mean, it says you. Yeah. Listen,
no,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna,
well, no, you could.
I'm not gonna fight you on giving him an A. I think if you look at the whole thing, and his impact is unbelievably monumental, but his postseason and the success
especially
of what his teams,
San Francisco and Tampa Bay is what I was thinking.
It has not been as good as any he hoped. So that's why.
So maybe.
I can't imagine.
Maybe I'll have to factor in his post game. But
it's crazy town.
No, if he had won multiple Super Bowls, I'd have given him an A+. If you are first ballot Hall of Famer and you win multiple Super Bowls, you're an A+.
Yeah,
I know that's why he's not an A+.
And
but one is huge.
You call him Steve Young.
Yes, perfect comparison. Yes, and I just want to let people know history will not treat Aaron Rodgers well, just like it doesn't treat Steve Young well. I argue with people who are just appalled that I compare him to Rodgers. Steve Young was as dominant in the NFL as Aaron Rodgers ever was, but he only got to one Super Bowl.
How many MVPs?
He won, I think, 2, and he was second in two others.
I think he won 1. So he's not in the same league. From a regular
he's better. Well, again, the stats were he was better. He was in 8 years as a starter. His 6 best years were every bit as good as Rodgers in the league, and he was a much better running back.
Aaron Rodgers played 18 years and 15.
Hell yes, he was an A. Was Steve Young a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yeah,
I don't know
Steve
if he was
Young's
first ballot.
Steve Young's a good player. He's not. He doesn't have any. The career is not even. Aaron Rodgers' career he's one tier ahead of Steve.
Steve Young was identical. He did things Favre never did. He led in quarterback rating 6 times. He led in touchdown passes more than Rodgers. He led in yards per attempt more than Rodgers. And he did it in many fewer years as a starter.
Yeah. 4 MVPs.
And he was the greatest rushing quarterback in the history of the league at the time.
No, okay. At the time.
But here's my point. You don't give him any credit because he only won 1 Super Bowl. And in 20 years, when people look back at Rodgers, they will not recognize his greatness because he only won. How good could he have been? So he won 4 MVPs. Well, Peyton Manning had 5 and he won 2 and was in 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
and I mean, Steve Young not only won 1, but he was only in 1.
Listen, I don't know how history is going to judge him. I don't know, but it's not going to be you keep forgetting. History typically, as you fade away, people will start looking at all of your positives and not all of your warts. Right now, because of how things played out, you're looking at a lot of warts. If he goes and wins in New York, he'll jump back into the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks of all time. Steve Young will be in his dust if that happens.
If he wins the Super Bowl, he becomes the exact same as Peyton Manning.
No, but he jumps another level. There's nobody that would tell you that Peyton Manning's a great quarterback, one of the all-time greats. But Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl was won by his defense. You know that. He knows that.
And you don't think that will be part of the reason Rodgers would win? That's why he's with the Jets, because of their defense. Right?
Rodgers wins the Super Bowl, he's going to have to make a ton of big plays along with his defense because, as we noticed last year and as you finally have come around on, if you don't have a top 10 offense in this league, you can't win big anymore. You don't need a top 2 defense. You need to have an average defense that can make turnovers and sack the quarterback when the money's on the table. You need to have an offense that can make plays. That's why the Jets went and got Aaron Rodgers, because that's what they need. They thought last year if they had decent quarterback play, they're a playoff team. If they get elite quarterback play, they're a Super Bowl team. We'll find out if their assessment is correct.
Thanks, Tausch.
See you, boys.
Mark Tauscher, Packer Hall of Fame. And tell more. How many people do you think are first ballot Hall of Famers in the NFL?
I will
200?
Look it up.
Do you think 200? Does that seem?
I'll look it up in the break.
I'd say 100.
100?
Yeah. Next.
I will look it up.
More Green and Gold Draft Talk coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
You're back at the gym. Your new gym outfit? On point. Your new sneakers? Baller. You've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with Access Checking. It's maintenance fee-free with no minimum balance requirements. So when you take your first yoga class in 10 months, your body might surprise you, but your checking account won't. You've got this with Access Checking from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
What are you trying to do?
I want to stand while I work. Standing desks are all the rage these days.
You know these new desks move up and down, right?
What? They do?
Yeah, they're not messing around here.
This is great. Now, only if I had a chair to swivel around in.
Do you not pay attention?
Well, no wonder I'm not getting much done these days.
Coakley Brothers and Brothers Interiors, the official moving and furniture provider of GKB Milwaukee.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA and founder of the Neal Group, with over 40 years of experience saving businesses money. Another year has come and gone. How did yours go? Do you have more money in the bank than last January? Do you just have a job, or do you run a business? 85% of business owners just have a job. Our years of experience and proven strategies help you run your business profitably and get it ready to sell when you are ready. That's the end game, right? We help you look at the numbers and understand what they mean. Just ask Jason, Michelle, or Peter, who sold their businesses this year for a nice price. Do you want to get a decent salary, pay what you owe, and make a profit too? Let us help you improve your business so you can work less and make more. Sounds pretty good, right? To get started on the road to making more money and having less stress, book a call or meeting at nealgroup.net right now. That's NEAL group.net. The first meeting is free to see if we can help. Again, nealgroup.net.
Ben Brust here for my favorite racetrack in North America, and that is Road America. Race fans, it's time to make your summer plans for fast family fun at Elkhart Lakes Road America. Experience 10 major races from vintage weekends to high-thrill NASCAR racing at the best NASCAR track in America. Bring the entire family for more affordable fun with on-site camping, free parking, and most of all, free admission for kids 16 and younger. See the full race schedule at roadamerica.com. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Every day, Mark fights retinitis pigmentosa, a blinding retinal disease. But even while his vision is taken, his family gives him hope. Because whether he's helping run their business or enjoying time at home with his wife and sons, Mark knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding diseases, providing real hope to those fighting vision loss. And our nationwide community of local chapters provides networking and support for people with vision loss, as well as their loved ones. Because the best way to fight against blinding diseases is to fight together. And for Mark, winning the fight against vision loss means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Learn more about how you can help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Station updates, show clips, and your place to interact with us every single day just by scrolling through your feed. Follow along on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ESPN Milwaukee. You're listening to Draft Night coverage, live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
We're getting close to the first pick, which, of course, will be Bryce Young, right? Homer along with Greg Matzek. We're at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. I mean, there's no debate about that, right?
No, I don't think so. So you got to keep in mind this is Chicago's pick that they traded to Carolina. Carolina desperately needs a quarterback. By all accounts, they have Bryce Young rated ahead of C.J. Stroud, so that appears to be the logical selection for Carolina at number 1. Where I think things get a little interesting in this draft, Homer, we'll talk about it after the break here. I know we got a short segment here. Things get interesting at number 3 because the Arizona Cardinals want out of the number 3 pick. So who are they going to find as a trade partner? I think you're going to see a lot of trades in the first round because multiple GMs realize this isn't the strongest of all drafts. So I think they're comfortable moving down to get a player maybe in the second round or maybe later in the first round that isn't that much different from the quality of player that get somewhere in the top 10. So watch for trades to be made, but I think as early as pick number 3, you'll see a trade after 2 quarterbacks are taken.
I don't check to see your sources. My sources say the Packers have been contacted by the Ravens about trading for the 13th pick. I mean, I don't know who Baltimore would want, but it doesn't matter. And if you swap there, it would be Baltimore would generally have to give up a second. I don't think they have one, but I think there's no doubt that there will be people interested in the 13th pick.
Without question.
Of the Packers, and I just
Absolutely.
don't. I don't have any belief that there's somebody, that there are a group of people that we're going to keep the pick. I think it's more likely that, well, especially with the tight end, they could easily move down. And I don't know if you've seen the same thing where they say that the draft itself is supposed to be so much better next year so that they would take a pick. But I've never looked at that from year to year, so I don't know how accurate that is. But it's
conventional wisdom, I guess, if you follow along, that they're not seeing this year's draft is not the strongest.
I'm wondering if they did it with Baltimore and you get a high pick next year, you'd think.
Sure.
Because we know, or everybody believes, Packers aren't going to be that good this year.
We could definitely talk about that more coming up in the 7 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and they'll start picking them soon. Again, this is our exclusive NFL Draft Report from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Draft next.
Cedar Ridge Distillery continues to make a home right here in Wisconsin. The original 86 bourbon is the best-selling bourbon in Iowa for 3 straight years, and you have the opportunity to get that here in Wisconsin. Also the quintessential, the best American single malt, voted by John Barleycorn Awards, and Cedar Ridge manages every step of the production from grain to glass. Make sure you pick up the Scalzo and Brust private barrel of bourbon and rye whiskeys, available at Discount Liquor at 51st in Oklahoma or Barstow in Maine in downtown Waukesha.
That poor shotgun of yours. It only sees the light of day during a hunting trip or 2 each year. Don't you think that bad boy deserves to be fired year-round?
Bring it to Waukesha Gun Club, one of Wisconsin's largest shotgun-only clubs.
Their Sporting Clay League begins April 29th with trap leagues on May 13th.
Form a team with other friends of neglected shotguns or join a team of your own.
Waukesha Gun Club has over 98 acres and is the perfect place for business or family fun outings.
Learn more at waukeshagunclub.org.
You've probably heard about employee stock ownership plans before, but what separates Fifth Third Bank from others when it comes to these plans? Fifth Third offers unmatched expertise and flexibility when creating ESOP solutions. From full and partial sales, second stage transactions, repurchase obligation financing, and seller note refinancing, ESOPs can offer tax advantages, increased liquidity, employee incentives, and overall diversification of net worth to help your company plan for the future. Fifth Third Bank, National Association, custom solutions built around your goals, member FDIC.
At Evans Transportation, they love the sound of Milwaukee baseball. Bats cracking, crowds cheering, brats grilling. And Evans is a big fan of manufacturing runs, both on the diamond and in supply chain management. When manufacturers have accounting, shipping, and tracking needs, they come to Evans. Because just like in baseball, teams who know how to manufacture runs have the best chance of long-term success. Good luck to the Brew Crew from Evans and Delafield. Find them at evanstrans.com.
Hey, this is Homer. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
A new era is coming in Green Bay.
That chapter is over now. and I'm excited about the new adventure here in New York.
It starts tonight with a draft.
You know, the goals don't change around here. It's going to be the same goals we've always had, right? There's one goal here every single year, no matter what.
This is Draft Night on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Hopefully we can surround him with enough people to help him perform at the best of his ability, and then we got to do a great job as a coaching staff.
Broadcasting live from Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Here's Homer and Greg Matzek.
They're getting close to the first selection in the NFL draft. Yes, players, draftees should not have to hug the commissioner. But they put up with it because, well, how would it look if a player backed off the commish? Commish, give him a hat, give him a jersey, and then you stand next to each other and you take a picture.
What's the phrase? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. For many, it'll be their first time meeting Roger Goodell, maybe their only time.
They're not
and
meeting you.
And you want to give him the Heisman and just walk right by?
No, okay, I come up, shake my hand, all right, and then we have a picture with the commission. I've got the hat on or the jersey. What, that's not appropriate? That fits.
In the day and age we live, I'm surprised the hug isn't sponsored, according to the NFL,
yeah,
right?
All right.
Why is the hug not brought to you by?
Good. It should be,
right?
yes.
It should be brought to you by Charmin. Take a squeeze of the commish.
Now, that I could see. Yes, you have a...
I'm shocked we're not there yet.
You have a sponsor, then, I got no problem with that. All right, what was our... the first thing was I believe in judging Aaron Rodgers. If you're Aaron Rodgers or not, if any player is a first ballot Hall of Famer, all fans or all supporters of a team should give that player an automatic A. Because I said 100 players that are first ballot Hall of Famers. Part of me says it might be a little bit more, but Jason Wilde coming up in a few minutes. And then the discussion, or I brought up about everybody, can't speak for everybody, but that the Packers won't be that good this year. Like 6 wins, 7 wins if you're positive.
So this will be interesting because at some level we will try and define if Jordan Love had a successful season.
Yeah.
Right? And again, I'm going to use 2008 as my barometer. In 2008, the Packers had Aaron Rodgers. He was the starter, replacing Brett Favre, and they felt so confident about him that they still drafted 2 quarterbacks, right? Just in case, you got to take your swings at the position, right? They did it with Matt Hasselbeck, although that was much later in the draft. They did it with Aaron Brooks. They did it with Mark Brunell. I don't think any one of those players was going to be the starter, but it was capital. It was leverage. It was an opportunity to get more picks. Brian Brum was brought in to be a backup and maybe push Aaron Rodgers. Who knows? It was a very interesting time. But also that year, Aaron threw for over 4,000 yards. The Packers had 6 wins. So do you view that as a success? It was not a successful season.
Now, didn't they lose a lot early? They got better? No, we'll make the same judge. You will look at Jordan Love, and we'll watch him play and tell us what our eyes think.
I think that's the way to do it. And I know record is going to factor into that for some. I don't know that it should.
He gets a pass.
I don't know that record should matter.
No. I mean, if they win 2 games, there's a
certain problem.
There's a point where you're embarrassed. And so I would say the embarrassment is probably, definitely 4 or less, but maybe even 5. 5, I think there's a chance that you could still think he had a pretty good first year. I mean, Rodgers won 6. Now you got 17 now. So 5 and 12 would be.
Well, and I look at the Bears, right? I mean, do they like what they have in Justin Fields? I mean, they had an awful season. They had the worst record in the NFL.
Right. That's
picking number ones that they drafted. But are people saying, well, but Justin is look at the strides he made, right?
I think that's a really good question. I, on the show, have said I believe in the next 7 years the Bears will win a Super Bowl. I think they have an outstanding general manager, and I think it looks to me like they know what they're doing. But I think they still have to figure out about Fields. I'm not convinced that he's the guy for sure. But maybe I'm proud to say I don't follow him that closely. But to me, that's what every team is. Get a smart GM. They make good moves. They put a good team together, and I can find 20 great coaches or good coaches for one general manager who gives you those great picks. I mean, 20 coaches that could win with the good players. So,
well, Goody has to have gotten this right with Jordan Love.
Yeah,
right?
or he's going to get fired.
He has to have gotten it right. I mean, it's how your legacy is defined, for good or for worse, when you're an NFL general manager.
Well, and if they don't win, then he's going to go down as the guy who traded a Hall of Fame wide receiver and
okay, now hang on a second. You just said if they don't win.
Correct.
Okay, you didn't say if Jordan Love doesn't perform.
Well, no, if Jordan Love is good, they're going to win.
You'd think.
Well,
Aaron Rodgers was good his first year as a starter, and they were a 6-win team.
Right. Well, no, not the first year. I mean, he gets a pass on the first year, other than he can't embarrass. The team can't embarrass. You know, you win 3 games and.
Well, there's no excuse, right? It's year 4 in a system.
Right,
like
but he gets
everything is tailor-made for him to succeed.
What he needs is 6 wins the first year and then 7 or 8 the next year. You know, things getting better. You don't want to have 8 and then drop down to 6.
Yeah, they got better with Aaron Rodgers, record-wise.
Right.
Record-wise, they did. And he had a good year in 2008. Yeah, I thought he would have over 4,000 yards at that time. Not everybody was throwing for over 4,000 yards.
Right, everybody after that year was positive on Aaron Rodgers. He can get it done.
Very high, yes.
Get him a good defense and get the team better. And then Woodson came and, just – I don't know. I don't think he wasn't there the first year, was he? Didn't Woodson come? Either way, they put a better team in the same way. But, yeah, no, if the offense fails, and Taus said it, and, yeah, the league has changed. In the last 2 years, the 2 teams that won the Super Bowl were like 14th and 16th in defensive points given up. Like the Packers last year in the league now, their problem was totally offense. Their defense was 17th, but they're teams that are winning. Well, the Vikings' defense was like 32nd or whatever, and the Chiefs wasn't that good, and the Rams wasn't, spectacular the year before. So, their offense was 14th, and you can't win with that offensive 14th, not anymore. So, all right, we'll get to Jason Wilde. Maybe he has a Brian Brohm story. It seems like there was something else we wanted to ask him about, going back into the history. Maybe he's got some. The Carolina Panthers are now officially on the clock. I don't know what they're waiting on the clock. The second they put their name up, they should have walked up and said Bryce Young. Like, what's the point in waiting? There is none. Waiting makes no more sense than the hug. Yeah, they're. They got 10 minutes. We'll have Jason Wilde by then. Next.
Officially on the clock.
On
the
clock,
Panthers.
Yep.
We're back with draft
If you have joint
coverage
pain and they're telling you surgery is your best option, please stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Tony Smith. The professionals at QC Kinetics use the latest, most advanced regenerative treatments to bring lasting pain relief the natural way. Regenerative medicine harnesses your own body's healing agents to restore and repair damaged tissue in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, and back. The precision treatments are done in the office with no drugs and no downtime. QC Kinetics has hundreds of clinics all over America and thousands of satisfied patients. If your joints are aching from arthritis or injury, look beyond steroids and surgery and discover the amazing possibilities with regenerative medicine. Especially this time of year, you need to be living life to the fullest and doing the stuff you love to do. If you can get relief and avoid going under the knife, doesn't it make sense to check it out? Call QC Kinetics now. It's a free consultation, no obligations. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Don't wait. 414-285-3474.
Look at all this space I have on my desk. Finally, no more clutter.
I know, right? Plus, now I can actually see everyone and talk to them whenever I want.
Would you stop trying to ask people if there are more doors or wheels in the world?
Speaking of wheels, these chairs, woo!
I've never been more comfortable at work.
Coakley Brothers and Brothers Interiors, the official moving and furniture provider of GKB Milwaukee.
Life's better with an auto policy from American Family Insurance. No matter what dreams you're driving towards. That's because our expert agents will make you feel totally protected with the right auto coverage at the right price. You'll also save up to 23% when you bundle auto with home. American Family Insurance. Get a quote, find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Mark Tosher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Well, are you ready for a new shower? If you are, Kohler Services is a local end-to-end bath and shower design and remodel service brought to you by Kohler, a family-owned business in Wisconsin for over 150 years. Kohler is the only manufacturer offering fast, professional installation and care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit kswisconsin.com to request your free quote and tell them that I sent you. Again, that's kswisconsin.com.
A wide array of opportunities abound at Waste Management.
Waste Management is always hiring, and let me share with you why. When Jerome goes from customer service to technical service, that position comes open. Jerome didn't leave the company. He just moved up. So now that gives somebody else an opportunity to come in the door. Most of the individuals that I worked with in customer service 18 years ago, is still here, but they're in a variety of other roles.
Join the Waste Management family. Just search online, Waste Management Careers.
As a professional musician, Lachi stays true to her creative vision, even with continuing vision loss from a growing hole in her eyesight. In time, Lachi could face the possibility of total blindness, but she's hopeful because she knows she's not alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding diseases, providing real hope to those fighting vision loss. And our nationwide community of local chapters provides networking and support for people with vision loss, as well as their loved ones, because the best way to fight against blinding diseases is to fight together. And for Lachi, winning means using her voice to bring hope to others with vision loss. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Learn more about how you can help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
At the Q Club of Wisconsin, Homer and Greg Matzek, the draft has started. The Carolina Panthers on the clock. How many minutes till the first hug between? Oh, the pick is now in. The world will be shocked if it's not Bryce Young.
Jason would definitely hug Roger Goodell. Tausch would.
No.
As he admitted, Jason would.
I'm shaking hands.
Wildy Homer says he wouldn't hug Roger Goodell if selected in the first round of the
And I don't
NFL
think
draft.
the players would do it if they were given the ability to vote anonymously.
I think Jason would hug Roger Goodell.
If he was a player.
Yes.
Jason, would you?
Sure. I'm a big hugger.
You'd hug the old man 40 years older than you are?
I'd hug you. You're almost 40 years older than me.
Yeah, but we know each other.
Oh, I know
Star
Roger
football
Goodell. He
player.
follows me on Twitter.
I guarantee you, the private discussion they have is, oh man, I gotta hug the commish.
It's a big moment, and the hug will soon be sponsored because the NFL does that.
Now that I agree, yes,
Be
I'd be
sponsored by
looking.
Charmin.
All right, Jason, what are you thinking about it? The draft is getting started. So many minutes till the Packers. Any new information? One of my sources said Baltimore is trying to get the pick from the Packers.
NFL draft. The Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any word about anything? Packers have been contacted by the Baltimore Ravens about trading for the 13th pick.
Yeah, like I said, I can see that. I can see them trading back and having an opportunity to do so and wanting to do so. They've got so many holes, and even though Goody doesn't want to use the word rebuilding, I mean, he's celebrating the fact that they are wiping $40 million of dead money for Rodgers off their cap in 1 year. They're swallowing that this year, and he's really happy about that. So they are clearly rebuilding, and when you're clearly rebuilding, then you should try and get as many bites at the apple, swings at the plate as you can during the draft. So absolutely, they should trade back. If they have, I was talking to one friend of mine that's in the league, and he said that the team that he works for, their board has about 20 first-round picks on it. 20. And then, obviously, there's 31 first-round picks this year. So that means there's a bunch of guys that are going to go in the first round that team does not see as a first-round pick. So I don't know how far back Goody's willing to go. I don't know how many round one grades he has on his board. But if that's the case, maybe you accumulate extra second and third round picks like Ted Thompson did in 2008. And then you get some players that you think are really good that you didn't have to draft in the first round and worry about fifth-year options for and the like. But, again, I don't know how far back Goody's willing to go, but I know he's willing to go back if the opportunity arises and he likes it.
A lot of things make sense, Wildy, at 13 or in the first round or whatever their first pick ends up being, because, as you pointed out, I mean, there's just a lot of holes here. I do wonder, in your opinion, how early is too early to draft a quarterback? And we've been using 2008 as kind of an example. When Aaron took over, Packers used a second-round pick on a quarterback, and he obviously didn't work out, but that still was a bit eyebrow-raising. Of course, we, the general public, didn't know as much about Aaron Rodgers, and he hadn't started a game yet. But how early is too early for the Packers to draft a quarterback?
Yeah, today or tomorrow. I do think, because obviously everyone, because it's such another obvious parallel to 2008, bringing up the draft pick of Brian Brohm and then Matt Flynn in the 7th round, it's hard to deny those things because we're in the same scenario as we were for that draft. And Matt Flynn tells a great story about traveling to Green Bay for training camp and seeing on an airport television that Favre was unretiring and thinking, God, I'm gonna be out of the league before I even really get into it. Look, I don't think the Brian Brohm pick, from my recollection, that was a guy that was a top 10 pick as a junior who decided to stay at Louisville for another year. It proved to be a mistake, obviously, because it hurt his draft stock. But he had fallen to such a degree that Ted felt like that was a great value pick. And if you go back and look at what Ted said, this is Aaron's team. This guy's we're not picking him to even compete with Aaron. It was about, we need a backup, and we like this guy. We thought he was a really good value. It turned out it wasn't a good value. He stunk. Guy played 2 games in the NFL, or started 2 games in the NFL. So, I don't think when you have as many holes as you do now, as opposed to 2008 when they had a team that was coming off of an NFC Championship game appearance, I don't think you use picks on quarterback when you're waiting for Jordan Love to get his first start as the true starter, not as a COVID starter, as Aaron Rodgers might call it.
Just out of curiosity, why would they not have just tried to get a veteran to come in? Because
still could.
No, I mean even back then, or even this year. Because
I don't think they liked the ones that were available then, and this time around, I think they waited too long. They didn't get things resolved with Rodgers. Look, the guy that they should sign, I'm going to keep banging this drum, is Matt Ryan. I don't know what he's going to cost. I understand he's washed, but I think he'd be the perfect, experienced, successful, older backup to help Jordan Love this year. And you hope he doesn't have to play just like you would if it was Danny Etling or someone else. But he's been in Matt LaFleur's system. He's a former NFL MVP. He's played in a Super Bowl. He's played in a ton of playoff games. The wealth of knowledge he would bring as a guy who knows and likes Matt LaFleur, I just feel like that's a slam dunk. I don't know how much money he would require. I don't know if he's decided, maybe he just doesn't want to play anymore. I don't know, but that is such a no-brainer to me that I just feel like that should be a move that gets made sooner rather than later.
the part of me that likes chaos in the drafts, Jason, is really intrigued at the idea of the Packers selecting a wide receiver or tight end in the first round, right? And just seeing Twitter just explode. And the Jets could certainly do that too. But those still remain positions where the Packers need to fill holes.
With the second pick in the 2023 NFL Draft,
does one make more sense
the
to
Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State.
All right, 2 quarterbacks off the board, and this is where I think the draft is going to start getting interesting because I don't think Arizona wants the number 3 pick. Would any direction surprise you more than another with pick number 13, or let's just say their first pick whenever they make it?
No, I mean, look, they have 4 tight ends on the roster. The 2 they have that have played aren't very good, and the 2 that they have that haven't played, as Craig Karmazin put it on Sunday Karma, you wouldn't be able to tell if they were NFL players or acts at a side stage at Summerfest. Austin Allen and Nick Guggemos. At wide receiver, they have 5 players currently on the roster. None of them were on the roster when we went into the 2022 NFL Draft. They have their 3 draft picks from last year and 2 guys that most people haven't heard of, Bo Melton and Jeff Cotton. And so those 2 positions make all kinds of sense. So, no, it would make for a great story because the only skill position offensive players they've selected since Javon Walker in 2002 are Rodgers and Love. That's it. No running backs in the first round, no wide receivers in the first round, no tight ends in the first round. So, you know, if it's Dalton Kincaid, if it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, whoever it is, if they go that way, it will definitely be a good story, and then we'll see if the player is a good player. But, look, I won't be surprised if they pick an outside linebacker. I won't be surprised if they pick an offensive tackle. I won't be surprised if they draft a defensive lineman. I might be surprised if they draft a safety unless they've moved back significantly because I don't think there's any safeties that are worth going in the top 15. But beyond that, other than quarterback, which I think would be galactically stupid at 13 if they wanted to take, if Anthony Richardson or Will Levis were there. And I think the best scenario for the Packers now that those 2 quarterbacks have gone off the board is for either 2 more quarterbacks to go, and that means that 4 out of the first 12 picks will have been quarterbacks, and that means there'll be some good players that don't play quarterback available, or for one of the 4 top quarterbacks to start falling and still be on the board at 13, so someone else who needs a quarterback can come up with the Packers, and the Packers can trade back and get more picks and give that pick to somebody who desperately wants that 4th quarterback that has fallen.
Talking with Jason Woolley. We're at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy will start at 8. I'm a homer along with Greg Matzik. Which players are you certain the Packers will take, if available, at 13?
Yeah, I'm not certain about anything, Homer. Yeah, I don't know.
I say Peter Skoronski is there at 13, guaranteed taken by the Green Bay Packers. You don't even want to join that club.
No, I don't want to join that club because you don't know who else is going to be there. Like, there could be somebody else that they like far better than the grandson of Bob Skoronski. They had all 3 of the top tight ends in for pre-draft visits. They had Wright, the tackle from Tennessee, in for a visit. Just because Peter Skoronski has a great story, which if they pick him,
but he's really highly.
He's good, yeah.
He's really highly thought of, isn't he?
Sure, he is.
Really?
But I've seen mock drafts. Yeah, he's thought of highly. But I've seen mock drafts where he's gone in the 20s or upper teens. So I don't think there's, I would think that if there was a player that somehow got to 13 that they would definitely take, I would think maybe by some act of God, if Will Anderson was still on the board, the edge rusher from Alabama.
Yeah,
fine, but he's not going to be there. Like there are certain players that are just not going to be there. And beyond that, is Jackson Smith-Njigba that good of a wide receiver that I can say that it's a slam dunk that if he's on the board, they're taking him? I don't feel confident enough to say that, no.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, Wildy, and we were talking about this earlier. We see all the mock drafts. We pay attention to them. They're easy to get sucked into as early as, January, before the combine, before pro days, before all that stuff. But Mel Kiper's board might be entirely different than Brian Gutekunst's board, right? And I think that's a trap you fall into, trying to assign a perceived value or grade to a given pick. So your point about the Ohio State wide receiver, right? 327 yards in the college football playoff is insane. It just jumps off the page. But I would wonder who the next wide receiver on their board is and how much separation between player A and player B there is, right? I think that sometimes makes up your mind when you're on the fly and you're on the clock.
Yeah, I don't love mock drafts, so I don't get sucked in. Maybe you do, Greg, but I'm not a huge mock draft guy. We love it when Mel Kiper comes on the show. Mel Kiper does a great job. He's very insightful, but even he's admitted that mock drafts are not like filling out your bracket for the NCAA tournament. Like, he's not really predicting who's going to go where necessarily in his 8 different mock drafts he does. I think they're informational in terms of learning about these players that if you don't watch college football every Saturday from dawn until midnight, which I don't do, you haven't heard of. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's the draft industrial complex, right? Like, these guys have their own assessments. My personal favorite is Dane Brugler, who does it now for The Athletic. He is the kind of modern-day Joel Buchsbaum. I would say that
great name.
His work is fantastic. But, again, he talks to plenty of scouts and whatever else. But, remember, none of these guys want to tell anybody what they're thinking about doing because then, for example, there was a rumor, and whether or not it was true or not, I think after the fact, I believe it was true. But the Packers were thinking at 26 of taking Brandon Ayuk in the 2020 draft. If Brandon Ayuk and Jordan Love are both on the board, does Goody actually take Jordan Love instead? I don't think we'll ever get an answer from him on that. But the 49ers...
I would say no. What do you say?
I'm inclined to say no. I'm inclined to think he'd take Brandon Ayuk because they really liked him. Or if somehow Justin Jefferson was still there, I think they'd take Jefferson. But, the 49ers traded up to 25 right in front of them and took Ayuk. And then Goody said, well, that's a sign. I guess it's time to take the quarterback. So, we have a trade.
Yeah, Houston's picking for Arizona.
He's got to work on his.
They're taking Will Anderson.
Homer, what did I say? Arizona did not want that pick.
The Arizona Cardinals have traded the third pick to the Houston Texans. With the third pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Will Anderson Jr., linebacker, Alabama.
He was too good.
Yeah,
most likely player to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in this draft.
Okay. I could say that if he'd have been there at 13, the Packers would have taken him, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Yep. Put me down. All right, now we're at pick number 4. Houston's made a trade. They're going to pick again. No. Has any team ever picked 3 times in the top 4? I don't think so. The Indianapolis Colts will be taking Will Levin, quarterback from Kentucky. Want to join that club, Jason?
Well, I'm all for quarterbacks being drafted, to Jason's point. Like, this benefits the Packers, Wildy, right? The more quarterbacks, the better.
See, I know this because I'm from Indiana. Indiana's just northern Kentucky.
Yes.
The Indianapolis Colts would love the quarterback from Kentucky.
Yeah. Sure. Sounds like a great club to join.
All right. Any last word you want to leave us?
Well, these aren't last words. I'll be on again a little bit later.
I think we're gone by then.
Perfect. So the last words I'll leave you with are best player available, because I think the Packers roster has so many needs and so many holes on it that unless the best player available is a quarterback, a cornerback, or maybe an inside linebacker, they can't go wrong with the best player on their board, because they need just about everything. They are rebuilding, no matter what Goody may say to the contrary.
If tight end is their biggest need, and you can tell me, what's second? Edge rusher, or do you think tight end is their, as far as an area, their biggest need, or what's 1 and 2?
I think tight end is first. I think edge rusher and safety are probably tied for second. But again, I don't think anybody's worth picking that early as a safety position.
Right. But knowing that tells people if they're not taken, that's why the quality isn't there. Thanks, Jason.
All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
I was going to ask him to join the club that if you're first ballot Hall of Famer. I think there are about 2 every year, so I think there may be more than 100.
I think you're right.
They're more than I thought. So maybe it's an A-, not an A. I don't know. We will get from Craig Karmazin the possibility the Bears pick at number 9, guaranteed. If Peter Skoronski is available, the Chicago Bears will take him with the 9th pick. We'll see. And Will Levin will be the selection of the Kentucky Colts. Next.
More green and gold draft talk coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Enjoy a world of street food fare in the largest tequila collection in town at Blue Bat Kitchen and Tequileria. Blue Bat is a destination for some of Milwaukee's best tacos, shareable appetizers, and margaritas in a fun environment right on the river in the historic 3rd Ward, serving up global flavors and good times 7 days a week. Blue Bat Kitchen will also turn your next party into a full-blown fiesta with an off-site catering taco bar. Visit Blue Bat Kitchen on Water Street or check out bluebatkitchen.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of people taking Chicagoland's newest and best casino out for a spin. Only at the Temporary by American Place. Try your hand at over 20 table games. Give hundreds of new slots a whirl. There's restaurants, bars, and much more. You want action? Well, today's your lucky day at the Temporary by American Place. Opening soon.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
We're recording this Progressive commercial on a real boat to let people know that when you bundle your home, boat, and other vehicles...
What was that, Flo?
Progressive saves you money, Jamie!
Why are we doing this on a boat?
We were going for authenticity!
We're going to the city?
Authenticity!
You mean Atlantic City? But we're not in the Atlantic! Are we?
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Here's football star Tony Romo for Skechers Max Cushioning Footwear.
You know when you go to your kid's game and you have to sit on those uncomfortable, super hard bleachers? That's how I feel now when I wear regular shoes. Why? Because once I started wearing Skechers Max Cushioning, I've been spoiled with how amazing extra cushioning feels. Skechers maxed out the cushioning with a thick, comfy slice of super light Ultra-Go cushioning for a soft, pillowy feel with every step.
See all the fashionable styles of Max Cushioning at the Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Progressive presents an ad from Mom.
What does it say here? Bundle your home and auto insurance with Progressive and get protection round the clock. You know what? I'm sorry. I think it should be around. What are you signaling? Me to stop talking? Oh, all right. I'll stop talking. No, just had to tell me. That's all you have.
Get round-the-clock protection when you bundle and save with Progressive. It's easier than getting your mom to make this radio ad. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Over the past year, we've been hard at work improving our sales processes, expanding and remodeling our facilities, investing in new technology, and continuing our commitment to serve our customers, employees, and community. That's why at Boucher, when our customers leave the dealership, we hope we've made a customer for life. Whether you're in need of a new vehicle, are stopping in for routine maintenance, or are in need of collision work, we will be here to help. With 20 locations throughout southeastern Wisconsin and 30 brands, we've got thousands of new and used vehicles for you to choose from. Our dedicated employees have been named a 2022 top workplace for the past 11 years, and we always have been and will continue to be family-owned and operated. Proud to be your Wisconsin family dealership group since 1977. Visit us today at Boucher.com.
You're listening to Draft Night coverage, live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Homer and Greg Matzek at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. I should have known better. I've got a guy who's doing his 39th annual draft, Mark Zelmer. He said that the Colts would take Anthony Richardson, quarterback of Florida. I thought they would take Will Levis, quarterback from Kentucky. Chalk up one for 39th annual edition. The Colts took Anthony Richardson.
You were trying to play connect the dots with Will Levis being from Kentucky and the Indianapolis Colts and it being a kind of a border state. And
just like me picking the Bucs last night.
Yeah,
it'll happen. On a bad run.
But here you go. If you're a Packers fan, this is a good thing, right? The third quarterback is now off the board, and Will Levis could go off the board before number 13. My gut instinct says that he probably will.
Levis. I think I said Levin. I'm wrong. Levis,
You've said Levin multiple times.
But you didn't just say, that's not his name,
I was
Homer.
trying to softly correct you there with pronouncing it correctly.
No, you don't have to do softly.
I will go all in. But I think you'll see another quarterback, Will Levis, taken ahead of the Packers. So, if you're a pick number 13 and all of a sudden 4 picks go off the board that are quarterbacks and you had no designs of taking a quarterback, that sets up pretty well. So now you're talking about getting a top 10 other player, a non-quarterback player, with your spot in the draft. And still, maybe you trade back. But if there are, 20 players sort of with that first-round grade, the likelihood of you having one falling in your lap at 13 would be pretty good, don't you think?
Yes, totally. And I might know its name, the player's name. Houston gave up a ton. So they had the 12. They move up 9 spots, and they give up next year's number 1 and I think a second-round pick. You have to believe that Will Anderson is literally as good as I said he was to pay that much. Because they're not going to be that good. So the number 1 pick next year would be pretty good.
Yes. By all accounts, yes. They gave up a lot to move up.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize, they already had the 12th spot, so they're giving away the 12th spot to Arizona. And you had said you were sure there's no way Arizona wanted that pick, right?
No, I didn't. They didn't want to stay at the number 3 spot. There was no need for them to stay at the number 3 spot, and I think you saw why. So, pretty solid move. It's interesting. So I'm trying to figure out what every pick means to the Packers, right? And
well, you're right. The quarterback thing is huge.
Well, yes, absolutely. If you think Smith and Jigba is going to be the guy, that's the guy you want. Now, again, we always get fixated on the skill position players with good reason, right? They stand out. He has 327 receiving yards in a high-profile game with a crazy audience. That stands out. That's more sexy than an offensive lineman. I get it. Something tells me offensive line is going to be the pick of the Packers at 13 or whatever their first pick is going to be.
If they like somebody enough, yes. There are a number of tackles. There's a tackle from Georgia. There's a tackle from Tennessee. The assumption is, though, Jason didn't agree with me. My assumption is Skoronski is going to be gone. There's a tackle from Ohio State. So, yeah, if they want to get a tackle, there's going to be one of them there.
There should be plenty of everything available for the Packers where they truly can take the best player on their board because it will likely intersect with the position of need.
Yeah. No,
the likelihood of that happening is strong this year.
I think edge rusher, to me, assuming there's someone up there, is the pick. Now, if they don't like someone that high, they can just move back because I'm convinced the tight end is going to be one of the picks in the 40s. They're going to be.
Do you think they make both those selections in the second round?
As far as
my gut feeling says they do. I don't think they're trying to package them to move up. I think they are. I think they will take both of those picks as
I agree.
Fall.
And in the 13th pick, I mean, just and understand it's a lot lower than what Houston paid for, but people are going to give you something major for the 13th pick. I just don't think they're going to give you something major for the second pick, 42 or 45, and they're just to me it's like they have one pick. One of those picks is a tight end. I don't know what they do with the other one. We're waiting for the Seattle Seahawks. Again, we're at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, and Bryce Young to Carolina, C.J. Stroud, back-to-back quarterbacks to Houston. Houston then took Arizona's pick, so they had the second and third pick. I don't know how many times the team has gone back-to-back in the top three picks. Somebody can look that up and help us. The Greg Matzek and Homer Institute. Houston Texans, again, with the third pick from Arizona, giving up a ton to get Will Anderson. The Indianapolis Colts taking Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida. It's just hard. I mean, I watched him play a little bit, and it seemed like he was, an incredible athlete, just very inaccurate at times throwing. But when I think of all the great athletic quarterbacks that have come out in recent years, maybe starting with Michael Vick, they talk about Anthony Richardson like there's never been anyone like him. Maybe that's just the height and overall weight and size and arm to go with his. I mean, when he runs, he looks more like a running back running than a quarterback.
No, so what you see are his combine numbers are off the charts.
Yes.
But he connected on 55% of his passes in college. So the ceiling might be incredibly high and maybe higher than Will Levis. Levis has got the arm. Richardson's got an arm. But he ran a 4.43 40, right? His vertical was the best. His broad jump was the best among quarterbacks. So you get kind of pulled into these numbers because of his athletic prowess, which is clearly off the charts, no doubt. But as a quarterback in the system, is he going to fit? Is he a perfect fit? Well, they've ultimately deemed that, yes, he's going to be the guy.
I hear the quarterback experts or people that watch him say, well, his arm is actually pretty good. He's accurate, but his mechanics can be shaky, or they just needs to work on his feet. I'm just listening. I don't. Yes, 55% is bad.
That's really low.
That's like among the worst in Division I.
That is
They're
very low.
Of 250, he was like 235. And, part of it can be.
And SEC defense isn't great across the board.
Correct. And it could be that they never throw short so that he doesn't get the easy passes. I don't know. But watching him play, the first thing that comes across, aside from being a great athlete, is an inaccurate quarterback. Not like he misses a few. No, basically inaccurate.
So the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. It looks like the pick is in.
Pick is in. Let's see. Who's my expert? My expert says.
You're going back to him now, huh? We'll find out right now.
He says Jalen Carter. That 39th annual. We'll see if it's Jalen Carter.
With the fifth pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Devin Witherspoon, quarterback, Illinois.
My man Mark Zelmer had Witherspoon going next, and that would just tell me that they don't want to take the risk on Carter, right? It's pretty simple.
So cornerback from Illinois, Devin Witherspoon goes to the Seattle Seahawks. It's another position, though, if I'm looking at the Packers, it's not a perfect position, but they do have Jair, they do have Rasul, they do have Eric Stokes. He'll be coming off of an injury. It is a position that I think the Packers are in decent shape right now, comparatively speaking. Not that they wouldn't look.
But I don't think you can ever have too many cornerbacks. Didn't somebody say that once? Who was it?
I'd say not that they would look at forego the idea of taking a corner there. But if you're looking at needs, I would not say corner is at the top of their need list. They do have some pieces, but to your point, yes.
I mean, in today's NFL,
pass-happy NFL.
Yeah,
you need linebackers who can run.
Yes,
and you need corners who can cover.
Right. In a game in which the rules make it more and more difficult to do it. All right, we will. So, again, that was pick number 5 by the Seattle Seahawks. Devin Witherspoon, quarterback out of Illinois. And now the Detroit Lions on the clock. They're short a couple players thanks to gambling. We'll get the pick next.
We're back with draft coverage coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Greg Scalzo for Smart Spaces. How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
The technology frustrations we hear about, hands down, ease of use.
We take that complexity out of it and keep it down to the bare minimum of what they need and what they use.
Our goal is to lend a level of simplicity that any knowledge level can walk into that room and at a glance know exactly how to turn that room on and utilize all of its features.
Let Smart Spaces transform your business today. Visit smartspaceswi.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Cousin Subs wants to make you a VIP. On Saturday, June 4th, Donald Driver will be hosting his charity softball game at Fox City Stadium in Appleton, Wisconsin. Cousins and Double D are teaming up to offer you a chance to be their VIP guest. The VIP winner will win a package that includes a meet and greet with Double D and Jordy Nelson, VIP seating, food and beverage, and Cousins Subs for a year. Enter daily at cousinsubs.com/softball now through May 15th. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
Hello, baseball fans. Jeff Levering here, calling the action with the amazing team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And what a roster we have. Up to bat is Pella's award-winning Easy Slide innovation. Wow, what a smooth glide. Pella's sliding windows are incredibly easy to maneuver, wider than they are tall. They glide horizontally, letting in lots of natural light and unobstructed views. And that roll? It's a double play. Pella's premium roll screens operate like magic. Close the window and the screen rolls away completely out of sight. Now that is slick. On deck is Pella's Reserve Series patio door. Just look at that slide. It's a perfect fit. Pella Reserve patio doors offer virtually unlimited sizes and custom colors, and they're backed up with the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Pella sure is one heck of a 5-tool player, and you can bring any number of their all-star innovations home for 0% for 48 months when you order by April 30th. Visit PellaWI.com for this amazing deal.
Certain restrictions apply.
A big storm brewing? Don't miss it. It's Thursday Thunder this April at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. You could win a share of $400,000 in cash and prizes. Just play with your club card April 1st through the 27th, and you could be one of 50 winners each Thursday. Showers might bring flowers, but thunder brings the boom. Only at Potawatomi. More info at paysbig.com/thunder. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Meals from those years are hard to forget. It was all white bread and whole milk, hamburger casseroles and quiche Lorraines, all with a side of cigarettes. We ate salads as desserts. We knew a party was classy if it had a cheese log, and we never missed an after-dinner smoke. It didn't matter if we were in our dining rooms, a burger joint, or the ritziest of restaurants. There'd be an ashtray on every table, and that very particular flavor in every meal. We smoked for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's amazing that our food could taste like anything else. If that was you then, get your lungs screened now. Surviving lung cancer starts with a scan. Learn more at screenyourlungs.org. This PSA was made possible by industry funding and guidance from lung cancer patient groups.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Yes, it is the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Homer along with Greg Matzik. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy will be on starting at 8. And you brought it up, and I think it is the one thing to watch ahead of everything else in terms of the quarterbacks taken and how many of the Is it pretty much 5? I don't know if they think if they believe the kid who's been injured from Tennessee is going to be high enough that would be taken before the Packers would pick.
You just start to look at teams that are kind of falling in place here. Do the Raiders need a quarterback? Probably not. Not right yet.
Hendon Hooker was who I meant to say.
Do the Atlanta Falcons need a quarterback? I would say it may be, right? It's Desmond Ridder right now, and what else do you have
But
there?
I think people could want to move up to get Levis.
Potentially. Will Levis is going to go before the Packers pick.
Correct.
Right, but now I'm thinking to myself, is there another quarterback who is on the periphery after Will Levis who could go ahead of where the Packers pick? So I start to do a need assessment of different teams. I think Philly's in pretty good shape with their quarterback situation. Tennessee, to me, that's a little questionable. Detroit, long term, well, I think they got to get something figured out, but I don't think they're looking for a first-round quarterback right now. Now, all of a sudden you get down to where the Green Bay Packers are. No, I don't think the Chicago Bears at number 9 are going to go the quarterback
if there's
route.
somebody like, who is the guy? Is it Tannenbaum, the guy who used to be the Jets GM?
He used to be the Jets
Yeah,
GM.
he says Hendon Hooker will be the best quarterback in the draft.
From Tennessee?
Yeah, who's got the injury, but I only say that because that would lean, if somebody believed what he believes, they might be willing to move up versus just wait. He's probably going to be around. The best chances to me of the Packers, if they want to move down, getting the best deal, is somebody that wants a quarterback.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. So that becomes an interesting, and I think Jason brought that up as well. It's an interesting position to be in for the Packers because if Will Levis goes, and maybe Hooker is the next one up on the draft board for many.
With the 6th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Paris Johnson Jr., Ohio State.
Yeah. My 39th year had him at 11 going to Tennessee, but Paris Johnson.
So now we wait, right?
He was thought of as probably going before the Packers, so it's just a question of the position. Well, all right, you want to make your pick. The Green Bay Packers with the 13th pick, I believe, will trade down. That's not really a name. If they select, I am going to go with the guy with Iowa. They've had success with some Iowa players, but
going back to the Ross Verba, Brian Bulaga days, right?
Yeah.
Mike Daniels, if you want to go back a little further, though not a first-rounder. Certainly a pick from Iowa.
I'm going with my guy who's done it for 39 years, and I already failed once by going against him. So
my gut feeling tells me they will trade as well. It's just a gut feeling, nothing more. If you stay with the pick, I've been trying to get myself out of this mode of thinking for a number of years because it's not happened since Javon Walker.
I'm edge rushing.
But somebody who can catch a pass in the first round is something that they've not typically done. They certainly need it. With tight end, I think they feel they could probably wait. That's my gut feeling.
Right, but my answer is they have done so historically well not taking a wide receiver in the first round.
Right.
And they got 2 second-round picks. I easily see wide receiver and tight end with the 2 second-round picks, meaning the first-round pick is an edge rusher. And the more I say it, the more I'm going to believe it, even if it's not necessarily right.
Speak it into existence. There
you
go.
But there's a history of
you're right.
not taking a first-round pick wide receiver.
It's a coveted position.
And they've done so well at it. I mean, Christian Watson.
Oh, you name it. Cobb, Adams, Mike Jennings, right?
Yes, Jordy Nelson.
Second-round receivers have been a thing.
All right, it's been a treat. You played 100 to give people the update on what you did. Gabe did it as well, but all the money you raised today.
$230,000+ raised for the MAC Fund today by 20 participants playing 100 holes of golf. Which is fantastic.
At the Bog.
At the Bog. It's a lot of fun.
Personally, I think you should play Curry National. It would be easier.
Fair enough.
You could easily get 300 holes.
So Gabe, myself, Stephen Watson, we were kind of a group together, and there were others on the course, and we had a great time. And because I reached my fundraising goal with the help of some of our fans, we got to a little over $8,000 raised personally. I'm going to spend the next month growing my hair back. So that was my incentive to donate.
What's wrong with your hair?
I have not tried to grow my hair in 20 years, but we're going to give it a shot over the next month.
So you don't like the way you look?
No, I like the way that I look just fine. But I was trying to entice people to donate to my page.
Because they want to see what you look like in hair.
We achieved my total.
I have my old King's head if you need that for a little toupee at the top. Consider that as an option.
We'll see how that goes.
All right,
so,
thanks.
That is my quest.
NFL Draft, the last pick in. Arizona Cardinals pick 6. Paris Johnson Jr. and the Las Vegas Raiders are next. The Packers are at 13, so that means they're like 7 away. Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, next.
Life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance because you'll feel protected no matter how the wind blows. All so you can keep enjoying the home of your dreams. And our expert agents can help you save up to 23% when you bundle home with auto. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. American Family Insurance. Get a quote? Find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
At Evans Transportation, they love the sound of Milwaukee baseball. Bats cracking, crowds cheering, brats grilling. And Evans is a big fan of manufacturing runs, both on the diamond and in supply chain management. When manufacturers have accounting, shipping, and tracking needs, they come to Evans. Because just like in baseball, teams who know how to manufacture runs have the best chance of long-term success. Good luck to the Brew Crew from Evans and Delafield. Find them at evanstrans.com.
What are you trying to do?
I want to stand while I work. Standing desks are all the rage these days.
You know these new desks move up and down, right?
What? They do?
Yeah, they're not messing around here.
This is great. Now, only if I had a chair to swivel around in.
Do you not pay attention?
Well, no wonder I'm not getting much done these days.
Coakley Brothers and Brothers Interiors, the official moving and furniture provider of GKB Milwaukee. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee, a Good Karma Brands radio station. A new era is coming in Green Bay.
That chapter is over now, and I'm excited about the new adventure here in New York.
It starts tonight with a draft.
You know, the goals don't change around here. It's going to be the same goals we've always had, right? There's one goal here every single year, no matter what.
This is Draft Night on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Hopefully we can surround him with enough people to help him perform at the best of his ability, and then we got to do a great job as a coaching staff.
Broadcasting live from Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, here's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
We are Genless. It's just going to be Gabe and Chew hanging out with you for the next couple of hours as we await the Green Bay Packers to select at number 13 overall. We are live at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Patiently waiting. Apparently the Raiders pick is in. But of course, for TV purposes, you can't announce the pick right away. You get over there, you know what you're doing?
How do you turn it down?
Okay, this must be Homer's.
This must have been Homer.
All right, I don't even know which one you're on here.
That's it. Perfect. That's weird. Usually I'm asking to turn it up.
Yeah?
How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, pal.
100 holes of golf?
100 holes of golf in. We're feeling fine. We're going to be just fine for the next couple of hours as we hang out, wait for the Packers to pick. So I think if you're a Packers fan, you got to be feeling pretty good at this point just because of the way the board has fallen through the first handful of picks. You know, kind of positions and players that you would assume, but of course the quarterbacks being the big ones off the board. The more quarterbacks that are selected, the more options the Packers are going to have of whatever they're looking for at number 13.
Probably going to get one more off the board. There's a possibility Levis could go here to the Raiders. And then it's like having, what, the 9th pick?
Yeah, more or less.
That's a pretty good deal.
You think, who do you think is going here?
The quarterback out of Kentucky.
You think Levis is going, they just signed Garoppolo.
Garoppolo's terrible.
Yeah, but they think he's going to be good. Otherwise, why would they sign him? I don't know.
I mean, Levis was the big buzz.
He was
his
the
way
big
to the
buzz,
podium. We now find out
Oh,
the
yeah.
pick is
Yeah, he's
for
been
the
that
silver
guy.
Let's
and
see.
black at the 7th.
All right, let's
overall
go ahead
selection.
and see who the Raiders have selected.
With the 7th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Tyree Wilson, defensive end, Texas Tech.
All right, so we have the pick now in for the Las Vegas Raiders. Are we going to be able to talk? I mean, we're talking to Craig. We'll talk to Craig tomorrow morning on our show, presumably, if he's not too hungover, because he's down in Chicago hanging out at the Bears draft party. And I understand that ESPN 1000, our station down there, is partners, but like,
Is that kind of cheating on us?
why? I kind of feel it doesn't feel right to have Craig on from the Bears draft party. Like, I don't care who the Bears take. Do you?
Do I? No, unless it's going to
not
affect.
ultimate, yeah.
Unless it's going to affect who we're ultimately thinking of taking. But no, I really don't care who the Bears take. I couldn't believe it. Did you listen to any of the pregame coverage? How Booger McFarland said if Bryce Young was 6'3", 215, they would have taken him. Why don't they like Justin Fields? Booger McFarland.
I mean,
was saying
yeah,
that. I thought it was the dumbest thing. A lot of dumb things being said today.
The reason why he would say that about Bryce Young is because Bryce Young is looked at as everybody loves everything about Bryce Young except for his size. They like his athletic ability. They like how smart he is. They probably have some questions about his arm strength, but they think he can be anticipatory enough the way Drew Brees was and able to kind of navigate around his lack of arm strength. But if he was a little bit bigger and you knew that he was going to be durable, because that's the big question with Bryce Young. Not only is he just 6 feet tall, he doesn't have those big, broad shoulders where he's going to be able to fill out and be 210, 215, 220, or like your guy was when he showed up in Green Bay, 245.
If I was 7 foot tall, I could have helped the Bucs out last night, but I'm not. I don't like him. I think he's just like Tua. I think he'll just be a guy in the NFL. I liked actually Stroud better than I liked Young, even on the field.
Yeah, I mean, and that was always the question, is do you take the more prototypical size or do you take the guy who has maybe a couple of more tools? And obviously what the Carolina Panthers decided they liked was Bryce Young. And maybe if you're interested in kind of the new way that the quarterbacks are being measured or NFL players are being measured with this S2 cognitive system, we had Chris Johnson on from S2 on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Take a look at and take a listen to that wherever you get your podcasts.
But it didn't really affect him. I mean, all the reports were after he took the test that he was dropping, maybe even drop out of the top 10. I mean, Kuiper had him as the number 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
So obviously they're not buying into that S2 all too much.
Yeah.
I don't think there's not a great quarterback in this draft class. There's potential for him to be good. But, I mean, history tells us that 2 of them are going to be busts, right? So if 4 are taken in the top 10, 2 of them aren't going to play very long.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, outside of, like, the Marino, Kelly, Elway draft class, like the historically great draft class that happened 40 years ago at this point.
What blows my mind is the Houston Texans. How does some of these GMs get hired? I mean, this is a team probably with the least amount of talent. Out of any team in the NFL. And most GMs will tell you, give me picks and grab picks. This is kind of a Mike Ditka move for Ricky Williams.
I mean, you didn't give up what Ditka did for Williams. I mean, that was.
But next year they give away
their first round
draft pick, which is going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
I just
at the very least.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
They must really believe in Will Anderson. They must think that Will Anderson is going to come in and be the guy and be a preeminent pass rusher for the next decade.
Yeah, but who was the last great inside linebacker drafted? Ray Lewis?
He's not an inside linebacker. He's outside linebacker.
Okay.
He's a pass rusher.
Okay. I stand corrected.
I don't think they traded. I mean, if they traded up to draft an inside linebacker, that would be hilarious.
That would not have been.
Would be absolutely hilarious. Should we await the Atlanta Falcons now on the clock as we tick closer and closer to the Packers picking at 13? Have you changed your mind at all about who you want, what position you want? You still on board with you want a difference maker who's a playmaker? You don't want offensive line. You want pass rusher because they can make a difference sacking the quarterback or someone who scores touchdowns.
Receiver would be ideal. I don't want a tight end at the 13th pick. I think that's too high to draft a tight end. However, a lot of the mock drafts I was looking at, mostly all of them had 2, if not the 3 top tight ends going in the first round. So I'm thinking if they're in love with one of those guys, they're going to have to give up those 2 second-round picks in order to get them. And I'm not in love with that. I'm not in love with that.
Because let's be honest, and I know we've been killed about this. I don't know over the last 6 weeks or so that we've been saying it. This roster's got a lot of holes.
Oh, it's
like
got a lot of holes.
they've
yeah.
And this comes back to what you were just saying, Chu, about how most general managers will just say, "Give me picks, give me picks," and that's nice if the Packers are in love with one of those top 3 guys, whether it's Michael Mayer, whether it's the Dalton Kincaid, whether whoever it might be. If he's not going to fall to 42, I think I wouldn't do it. I think the tight end draft class is deep enough. I do think that after the top 3, there's a little bit of a fall off, but I like the opportunity of being able to make all of those picks. And instead, let's say they take a pass rusher at 13, and then you take a tight end at 42 and a wide receiver at 45 versus packaging 42 and 45 to just get one tight end.
I agree. I mean, but they've had time ever since Michael Finley to develop a tight end, and that's been at least 10 years, probably longer than that. They haven't done it.
That sound, which is the Chewy sound, means the pick is in for the Atlanta Falcons.
After they finish Sweet Caroline, we can't break in for the commissioner in the middle of the chorus, I imagine, here.
What a coup for them, the band, to get Jason Fitz to play guitar after the Raiders just selected Tyree Wilson.
For the Atlanta Falcons pick, I'm joined by Chris and Shane from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. Chris and Shane are a true testament to the power of mentorship. The NFL and its teams work closely with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America as part of our work on social justice through our initiative, Inspire Change. The Falcons are big-time supporters of the organization, and they're thrilled to have Chris and Shane making their pick. Okay, guys, take it away.
This kid is super nervous. He is uncomfortable on stage. Nail it, kid. Come on.
Deep breath.
With the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Bijan Robinson, running back, Texas.
Wow.
So that's surprising. This is a running back who was, when you take a look at the big board, not the mock drafts, but the way that the guys like McShay and Kuiper or, wherever, Dane Brugler over at The Athletic, this was a guy that had one of the highest first-round grades. But the problem is, running back isn't a position where a lot of teams and a lot of players, a lot of teams, a lot of general managers want to take in the first round. Because you take a look at a lot of Aaron Jones, he was a 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
Breece Hall last year for the New York Jets, he was a 4th-round pick. Taking a running back in the first round seems to be very risky, but the Atlanta Falcons have decided it's worth it as they have taken Bijan Robinson out of Texas as the 8th overall pick. That means we are just 4 picks away from the Green Bay Packers selecting, and it would appear that the Chicago Bears are no longer on the clock. It appears that it is the Philadelphia Eagles. There might be a trade. We'll dig deeper into that. We'll see who makes that pick at number 9 as we count down to number 13. It is ESPN Wisconsin's draft coverage live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. He's Chewy. I'm Gabe.
More green and gold draft talk coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Graduation season is just around the corner, and what better way to celebrate than with custom banners and yard signs from Fast Signs of Glendale. Their team of experts can create personalized banners and yard signs that will make your graduate feel extra special on their big day. With their exceptional service and attention to detail, you can trust that your order will be perfect every time. Let Fast Signs of Glendale help you make your graduate's day even more memorable with a custom banner or yard sign. Fast Signs of Glendale. Mention summer 2023 for special graduation pricing.
Are you ready for summer? Cousin Subs and Summerfest are teaming up once again for the return of the world's largest music festival with a special ticket offer. Simply place an order online at cousinsubs.com of $30 or more now through April 30th and receive a free weekday Summerfest ticket. This offer is not valid in store. One qualifying purchase per day per email will result in a free weekday ticket. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. For complete list of rules, visit cousinsubs.com/Summerfest.
Cedar Ridge Distillery continues to make a home right here in Wisconsin. The original 86 bourbon is the best-selling bourbon in Iowa for 3 straight years, and you have the opportunity to get that here in Wisconsin. Also, the quintessential, the best American single malt, voted by John Barleycorn Awards, and Cedar Ridge manages every step of the production from grain to glass. Make sure you pick up the Scalzo and Bruss private barrel of bourbon and rye whiskeys, available at Discount Liquor at 51st in Oklahoma or Barstow in Maine in downtown Waukesha.
Over the past year, we've been hard at work improving our sales processes, expanding and remodeling our facilities, investing in new technology, and continuing our commitment to serve our customers, employees, and community. That's why at Boucher, when our customers leave the dealership, we hope we've made a customer for life. Whether you're in need of a new vehicle, are stopping in for routine maintenance, or are in need of collision work, we will be here to help. With 20 locations throughout southeastern Wisconsin and 30 brands, we've got thousands of new and used vehicles for you to choose from. Our dedicated employees have been named a 2022 top workplace for the past 11 years, and we always have been and will continue to be family-owned and operated. Proud to be your Wisconsin family dealership group since 1977. Visit us today at Boucher.com.
Time to get outdoors with help from Fleet Farm. Check out top brands in grass seed, fertilizer, and mulch. And get your yard ready with lawnmowers and string trimmers. Plus, don't miss out. Pick up Superior Weed and Feed for just $15.99. And don't forget your garden. Stop into the Garden Center today to pick up your favorite plants. Find everything you need for your backyard and patio at Fleet Farm during the Get Outdoors event. Going on now.
This place has a pulse. You hear it in the canopy, feel it in the ground. Life, fully illuminated, engulfs you. From the birds singing in the treetops above to the tiniest insects in the soil below. You take a deep, cleansing breath, filling your lungs with the essence of the forest. Now, imagine it's all gone. Healthy, life-giving forests reduced to nothing. No singing birds, no lush canopy, and water and food in short supply around the world. Time is running out to protect our forests, and without our love, they can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our forests. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
You're listening to Draft Night coverage, live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Okay. So the Eagles currently on the clock. The Chicago Bears just needed a fourth-round pick to move up, or excuse me, the Eagles needed just one pick, that fourth-round pick to move up one. So the Bears must be very confident that the Eagles not going to take whoever they want that could potentially be on the board as the Eagles move up one spot to 9. Bears fall one back to 10. And let's go ahead and listen in to who that is going to be at number 9 for the Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning NFC champs.
Here is Roger Goodell with the Eagles.
The Chicago Bears have traded the 9th pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. With the 9th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, Georgia.
So the Eagles decide to go up and get Jalen Carter, who has had some off-the-field issues that dealt with a lot of things that happened with the teammates and whether or not he was drag racing that ultimately led to some police inquiries. Ultimately, he was not charged with anything. He did have some citations and things that he had to take care of, but the Philadelphia Eagles decided that Jalen Carter worth going to get. He was one of the top prospects who did fall maybe outside the top 5 because of those questions and things that happened during the offseason.
Well, it's a good move because I would think that the Bears potentially are going to look at the tackle out of Northwestern, which would make sense.
Yep.
Local kid.
They need offensive line help.
The Bears are, I hate to say it, but they're being kind of smart about it.
Yeah, they're doing good things, and I don't like it, Shu.
I
don't like it.
I like the Bears when they follow the Houston model that they followed for so many years. But they're accumulating picks. Their roster has a lot of holes in it, and I think that's when your roster has a lot of holes in it, you don't move up and try to hit the home run with players just because you never know. You just stockpile picks, and they're playing this thing pretty smart. I would think that they're going to take the tackle, though.
Yeah, so the Chicago Bears are now on the clock, and already the pick is in, according to ESPN TV. We'll see when that does indeed happen. Can we talk a little bit about what it looks like in Kansas City, how cool it looks? Like, the draft just seemingly gets bigger and better each and every year, and I know the Packers continue to push to have the draft, and I'm curious to see what that would look like in Green Bay, how they would set up a stage, where they would have it all, but it is a push that they continue to have, and people are traveling for this thing because it's not just people in Kansas City that are filling up the streets of KC getting ready for the draft tonight. This thing has just become such a major event for fans to go and attend and travel to and make plans around. It looks really cool.
What scared off the league from giving it to the Packers this year? Or next year, sorry. It just seems like a perfect fit.
The bigger this thing gets, Chew, the worse it is for the Packers. Because the same questions about
hotels.
Yeah, it's the hotels. It's the where are they going to put people? How are people going to get around? If they're going to be in Appleton or they're going to run shuttles, they got all these logistical issues about having it in a town the size of Green Bay.
Yeah, but I bet the majority of these people at the draft now are from the Kansas City area. It's not like they need hotels.
I'd be curious to know what the number of hotel rooms, if they could just estimate the number of hotel rooms that are booked because of the draft with people traveling in.
Hold on, Gabe. What about Milwaukee? This is nowhere near their stadium or anything like that. Milwaukee could support something like this.
If Milwaukee can host the Republican National Convention, why wouldn't they be able to host the draft? I would think so. Right? Realistically, the National Convention that happens once every 4 years, that's crazy.
You could do it in the Deer District after the Bucks win the championship. Oh, that's right.
Why are you doing this
You're
to me?
going to get crushed tomorrow. I'll save it for tomorrow.
Why are you doing this to me?
I don't know.
I'm already tired. I played 100 holes.
Are you nervous because you certainly weren't nervous about the Bucks' last 2 games. Are you nervous about this pick at 13?
No.
What if they take an O-lineman?
I'm okay with that.
I do not want an O-lineman.
Now, I understand you don't want an O-lineman, but they could use an
O-linemen
O-lineman.
don't score touchdowns. No, they don't. Just develop one. You see our O-line when we won the Super Bowl in '96?
You may. That is always. I have no comeback to that.
No.
Whenever you bring up that offensive line, I have zero comeback.
Yes.
To what that offensive, Ken Rutgers was supposed to be on that offensive line.
And he got a ring.
Yeah, he still got a ring, even though he didn't end up really playing for you guys that season.
He did.
So the Chicago Bears are on the clock, and I believe, do we have Craig Karmazin on the line, Chris? Is Craig Karmazin joining us from the Chicago Bears draft party? Okay, we're still working to connect with Craig, who is live down, again, our sister station, ESPN 1000, home of the Bears. I am excited for them. Cool for them. That's a great get for them. Why Craig's hanging out at their draft party and has to come on our draft show, That is something I need to know.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow. I don't think we should have him on today. Let's leave it to tomorrow. Let him cook. Right?
Well, again, the Bears are on the clock. The pick is in. Just have to wait and see who that pick for the Chicago Bears is, as we are just 3 picks away from the Green Bay Packers being on the clock. As we are now joined by Good Karma Brands founder and CEO Craig Karmazin. Craig, does it feel a little dirty joining in a Green Bay Packers draft show? Like, we are counting down for the Packers drafting, and yet you are joining us hanging out in Chicago at the ESPN 1000 Chicago Bears draft party.
Well, I mean, this show is emanating out of Milwaukee, right? And Chicago is the closest NFL team to Milwaukee. So I feel like the Bears are Milwaukee's team, right? I thought the Packers were more big in northern Wisconsin, right? The pick is in. And everyone knows I'm just joking about that. Of course, this is just the buzz of the pick being in. The buzz around this team is insane. Just because you think about a year ago, they had no cap space, they had no draft picks, they had no franchise quarterback. Now they feel like they have a franchise quarterback.
Three NFL draft. The Chicago Bears select Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee.
We are.
And
so they go offensive tackle.
Expected here. That was what was expected, and you hear the crowd overall very happy. You know, there was a group who was disappointed when they traded out of 9 and passed up on what some people think is the top rush end in the draft. But you give up the number 1 pick because you have your franchise quarterback, and their number 1 priority was to protect that franchise quarterback.
Why did they take the kid? Why did they stay local, Craig, and take the kid out of Northwestern?
Yeah, there's no one I talked to with the Bears organization indicated that he was going to be the guy unless they traded down, which they were open to continue to trade down. They traded with the Eagles and went from 9 to 10. They would have been willing to continue to go down as long as they could get one of the tackles that they liked. So, I mean, the Bears now, 10 draft picks this year, all sorts of cap room, and they feel like they have their quarterback. But, again, not only do the Bears feel like they have their quarterback, but Bears fans feel like they do. And, just watch that. And the memories of them passing on Patrick Mahomes to pick Mitch Trubisky are so fresh. So when you think about them having the chance to get Bryce Young, obviously they believed in Fields, and this draft was an indication of their commitment to Justin Fields.
Well, me and Gabe were just talking that it's kind of depressing that the Bears have finally figured it out after all these years, that when you have so many holes in your roster, you stockpile picks. We thought them trading down twice?
No, just the one time from 9 to 10.
Well, they traded down initially
yes.
the number 1 pick.
Correct.
Is that kind of the sentiment there in Chicago, that they kind of figured it out?
Oh, my God. I mean, Ryan Poles walked on water. I mean, remember, he came into this situation a year ago, and they didn't have first-round picks. They didn't have cap space, and all he did throughout the season was find more and more draft picks. And obviously, I think the key to it all is that Justin Fields worked out, but that is their entire premise of this draft, is that they're going to need to fill holes, and they're going to need defensive help, but they were going to prioritize the offensive line and then get defensive help. The one thing I would look out for is they definitely feel like they're 1 corner short. So, when you look around the division, they still feel like they're 1 real corner short. So I don't know that they would trade up at any point in the draft, but if they were going to, it wouldn't surprise me if it was for a corner, because that is a position that they still feel like is a need.
Craig, we certainly appreciate the time. We hope you enjoy the Chicago Bears draft party. Sounds like
Packers now. Now that we've seen where the draft is, what are we predicting for the Packers now?
I like my guy Enigma out of Ohio State.
I think I kind of lean towards Myles Murphy. I think the Packers go pass rusher. They stick with defensive first-round picks as again, only one pass rusher has come off the board, and that was Will Anderson at number 3.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the Packers would want to trade down if they had their choice, but I don't know that there's that much of a market for it, right? It doesn't, the Bears got a 4th-round pick to move up one spot, but I don't know that there's anyone that's so hot. So at this point, it's too early to go tight end, right? Which I think is the biggest need that they're going to address. Like, I literally think they came into this draft saying we're going to go best player available, except we are going to get a tight end very early in this draft. That's the one thing I think the Packers end up prioritizing.
Craig, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
All right. Fine, guys.
See you, buddy.
Craig Carmison joining us live from the Chicago Bears draft party. Things could get interesting, and maybe somebody starts trading up if Will Levis does not go right here at number 11 to the Tennessee Titans. We'll have to wait and see who that pick is for the Titans. We'll do that coming up next. This is the draft party live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
We're back with draft coverage coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Life's better with an auto policy from American Family Insurance. No matter what dreams you're driving towards. That's because our expert agents will make you feel totally protected with the right auto coverage at the right price. You'll also save up to 23% when you bundle auto with home. American Family Insurance. Get a quote, find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
If you have joint pain and they're telling you surgery is your best option, please stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Tony Smith. The professionals at QC Kinetics use the latest, most advanced regenerative treatments to bring lasting pain relief the natural way. Regenerative medicine harnesses your own body's healing agents to restore and repair damaged tissue in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, and back. The precision treatments are done in the office with no drugs and no downtime. QC Kinetics has hundreds of clinics all over America and thousands of satisfied patients. If your joints are aching from arthritis or injury, look beyond steroids and surgery and discover the amazing possibilities with regenerative medicine. Especially this time of year, you need to be living life to the fullest and doing the stuff you love to do. If you can get relief and avoid going under the knife, doesn't it make sense to check it out? Call QC Kinetics now. It's a free consultation, no obligations. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Don't wait. 414-285-3474.
Since 1964, Ewald Automotive has been on a journey to make car buying easier for your family. So if you want an easy experience, head to Ewald's 59th anniversary sale. Ewald guarantees the lowest price and includes their exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on new vehicles. Plus, with live market pricing, you'll never overpay for a used car. Shop over 1,000 vehicles. Ewald's anniversary sale is going on now through month end.
Go to EWaldAuto.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, it's John Reeds from Great Midwest Bank, and I've said it before. Life happens. For nearly 90 years, Great Midwest Bank has made the home loan process predictable through all those ups and downs. And today, GMB's simple and personalized approach to locally serviced, affordable home equity loans can turn your home's value into cash for whatever you want. Whatever your lending need, it's just a few clicks away. Apply online at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's. Flavor is our family's business.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but
Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
One pick away. That's all we are from the Green Bay Packers selection at number 13, hanging out live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. He is Mark Chmura. I'm Gabe Neitzel. As we are joined by our friend, by our teammates, we are joined by Jason J. Wilde. Jason, the way the board has fallen, my guess is tackle might be off the board because 3 have been selected, but just about every other position the Packers could want or need seemingly is going to be there for them at 13, right?
For sure, although, if I'm being honest, I want to see Jackson Smith and Jigba to be on the board and then see if Goody actually takes them or does something else. You're right, the tackle that they clearly liked was Darnell Wright, who obviously went a couple picks ago. They had him in for a visit. But the fact of the matter is there's still a couple of tackles.
Detroit Lions select Jahmyr Gibbs,
Yeah.
running back, Alabama.
Wow.
There you go.
What? Did they just take – wait, what just happened with that pick from the Detroit Lions? They took another running back?
Yeah, out of Alabama.
That's true. Yeah,
Jason,
that's what happened.
Would you be surprised if they took a tight end with the 13th pick?
No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, the question that I would have is, do you have to take a tight end at 13, or can you trade back if you're getting offers to trade back and still get a tight end at 17 or 18? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Tight ends, as you well know, tight ends aren't really that important. They think they are, but they're really not.
Yeah. They're really smart, though,
look,
Jason.
They are, but all kidding aside, you can get tight ends in the 3rd round. The Packers' history there has not been great, although Jermichael Finley was a pretty good tight end before his neck injury. You can get an awfully good one in the 6th round if you're patient with him. But, picking one at 13, I've seen a few people say that Michael Mayer is overrated. So I'm not sure you want to necessarily go with him that early. Obviously, Dalton Kincaid is a pass-catching weapon, which certainly would help Jordan Love. But, again, this roster, no matter what Goody says about not rebuilding, has enough holes in it that they clearly can help Jordan Love with just about any position they pick from.
Talking with Jason Wilde as we are live at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha for our draft night coverage. Jason, it seems like as we have the TVs on here at the Q Club, just about every time they've announced a pick, almost immediately the other team, whoever's on the clock, says the pick is in. The Packers, meanwhile, the clock is ticking. So that to me says they're trying to work out a trade. So why did they do the pick swap if they are now looking to potentially trade out?
Well, they're 2 picks earlier. So let's say, and again, I don't know what they're doing, and I'm watching on my iPad, not on TV. So where's the clock for the Packers where you're watching it?
At 4:10, 4:09, 4:08.
Okay. I'm not that far behind then. I'm at 4:20. Look, if somebody wants Will Levis and they're willing to come up to 13.
That's what I was thinking. Yep.
Great. But, I think there's a good chance that they take Kincaid. They had him in for a visit. They obviously like him. And I would think that one thing Goody does not want to do, if he only has 1 or 2 guys that he really likes, is move back 4 spots, for example, and then have the two guys that he really likes be gone, and then you're sitting there, I don't want to say panicking, but now you're kind of picking guys that you didn't really like to begin with. So if you believe in a guy, pick him there.
Well, the pick is in. The Packers' pick is in, according to ESPN TV.
Well,
we now wait to see who the pick is.
But, Jason, couldn't you take the receiver out of Ohio State and package those 2 second-round picks and still potentially get Kincaid? I feel a lot better with that instead of kind of taking Kincaid too early.
They're not taking Kincaid.
Okay.
Wait, so you know who they are taking?
I do.
All right, so now we've got a decision to make. Do we want Jason to spoil the pick, or do we want to wait and have the Chewy Sounder play and hear it from Roger Goodell? Would you, or I guess we have to first, Jason, would you be willing to say out loud what the pick is?
No, I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, all right.
But does his name start with? Does he have 3 names? Or just 2?
He might have 3. He might have 4. And by the way, if you went with 3, it could be Jackson Smith in Jigba. It could be Lucas Van Ness. So that wouldn't even be giving it away necessarily.
Oh, that's true. The lineman out of Iowa. I wouldn't have a problem with that pick.
Van Ness?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
Edge rusher, a guy who can get after the quarterback. There's some uncertainty, obviously, with Rashawn Gary's return to action, although, Goody makes it sound like he's going to be ready for training camp, and they're going to take it slow with him. But, look, they need edge rushing help. I believe they still need wide receiver help, even if they're excited about the 2 young guys that played as rookies last year. But my inclination is this team likes guys from Iowa and guys from Georgia, especially this general manager, and Ted Thompson with Iowa guys before that. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see which way they go here.
Would you be surprised with a safety here, Jason?
Yeah, it's not going to be a safety. I mean, there's no
gonna be a safety.
like I could say that I can say that anyway because they're. I mean, there's no safeties worth taking at 13.
Well,
no matter how much you like.
As deep as the tight end, as deep as the tight end class is, Jason, that's how bad the safety class is, right?
Right. I think they're gonna take a tight end tomorrow with either 42 or 45.
Packers going to
All right, well, the pick is in. Let's go ahead and hear who the Packers have selected.
Go offensive line or on the defensive side. Let's go and hear from Roger Goodell about what is next in Green Bay, a new era as they move on from Aaron Rodgers.
With the 13th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Lucas Van Ness, defensive end.
So they do go with Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. They decide to go defense. They decide to go with a defensive pass rusher because of the injury with Rashawn Gary. And I'm with Jason that they really do believe in Rashawn Gary, that he's going to be okay. But the other part is, who knows how much longer Preston Smith is around. So you need somebody there as well. You can never have too much depth at pass rusher. So Lucas Van Ness is the newest member of the Green Bay Packers.
I like the pick. The only thing I don't like about it is, God, they expend a lot of first-round picks on the defense.
Yep.
And the defense still doesn't get it done. I like this kid. He's high energy. My oldest Dylan was with him at Iowa, said he's raw, young. He's like Aaron Campman. Remember Campman back in the day?
Oh, absolutely.
No stop to him, kind of a Bryce Pop type of guy, which is a great fit for Green Bay. And I like the pick. And we said for the past couple weeks, or at least I did, 3 positions I wanted was a pass rusher, receiver, a playmaker, and a tight end.
Yeah.
So we got one.
We got one. So, Jason, what do you know about Lucas Van Ness, and what do you like about the pick? And then we'll let you go so you can get to press conferences and learn more about what the Packers think about Lucas Van Ness.
13 and a half sacks, 19 and a half tackles for loss in his 2 seasons in Iowa. He was a redshirt as a freshman, so he is a redshirt sophomore. He played 2 years for the Hawkeyes. Still 21 years old. He's 6'5", 272. I think I think Chewy's son is right. I think he's one of those just scratching the surface type of young players that has a lot of upside that they'll be waiting for him to show. But again, there were so many positions on this team where they had a need, and outside linebacker, pass rusher is most definitely one of them. Even if Rashawn Gary was healthy, as you said, Preston Smith, there's no guarantee he's going to play for this team beyond the 2023 season. He's got some big cap numbers coming up. This pick is in no way a surprise to me. It is a little bit of a disappointment because I did want in their first draft post Aaron Rodgers for them to take the wide receiver, just to stick it to the quarterback one more time.
And there's your dagger.
Jason, we certainly appreciate the time and look forward to talking to you once again tomorrow morning on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
All right, sounds good, guys. Take care. Be good.
Jason Wilde joining us live from Green Bay. He's going to be diving in, finding out as much as he can about Lucas Van Ness. How do you feel about the pick? 800-990-3776. If you want to join the show, as we are live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, we will break down Lucas Van Ness, what we like, what we don't like, where he fits with the Green Bay Packers, as their pick is in. They have made it. Number 13 overall, Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. We break that down next from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha.
More green and gold draft talk coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that maintains a job bank, provides employment information, or gives job referrals, you may request to be placed on the station's mailing list for future career opportunities. To learn more about careers at Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Over the past year, we've been hard at work improving our sales processes, expanding and remodeling our facilities, investing in new technology, and continuing our commitment to serve our customers, employees, and community. That's why at Boucher, when our customers leave the dealership, we hope we've made a customer for life. Whether you're in need of a new vehicle, are stopping in for routine maintenance, or are in need of collision work, we will be here to help. With 20 locations throughout southeastern Wisconsin and 30 brands, we've got thousands of new and used vehicles for you to choose from. Our dedicated employees have been named a 2022 top workplace for the past 11 years, and we always have been and will continue to be family-owned and operated. Proud to be your Wisconsin family dealership group since 1977. Visit us today at Boucher.com.
Kevin Moret here from Mentality Men's Health. Guys, did you know that the stored belly fat reduces your free testosterone? The more the belly grows, the harder it is to drop, mostly because of the decrease in free T. It's a vicious cycle that men are losing, and unfortunately, everyone can see it. Mentality breaks that cycle with semaglutide, an industry-changing weight loss medication that can help you lose up to 15% of your body weight while preserving your testosterone. Join our over 20,000 clients to look and feel the way you deserve. In Milwaukee, go to lowtusa.com. That's lowtusa.com.
A gentle breeze blows across your face as you take a refreshing sip of water, appreciating the stillness of another morning fishing on the lake. The distant gurgle of a stream reminds you of days spent playing in the creek, the cool, clear water rushing between your toes. You love this time with nature, the feeling of putting everything on hold to connect with the world around you. Now, imagine it's all gone. No fish, no lake, no water. One of life's most vital resources, irreplaceably depleted. Time is running out to protect fresh water, and without our love, it can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our fresh water. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
I'm Tiffany Haddish.
And I'm Marlon Wayans. African Americans are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer than any other racial or ethnic group.
Access to cutting-edge treatment can help make long-term survival possible.
That's why Stand Up to Cancer and the Lustgarten Foundation have teamed up to bring over 30 pancreatic cancer clinical trials to those who need them.
For more information about the latest pancreatic cancer research and clinical trials near you, visit pancreaticcancercollective.org.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
If you happen to be just joining us, Lucas Van Ness is the pick out of Iowa. Listed as a defensive end, he is going to be a pass rusher, somebody that gets after the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. Really an outside linebacker, probably going how they're going to use him. I mean, they list the Packers as a 3-4 team, Chew, but it seems like, I mean, they're lining up in an actual 3-4 maybe 25% of the time. So a lot of times it ends up being kind of a 4-man front when they fall into a nickel, and that's where someone like Lucas Van Ness can help. My guess is he could probably play with his size. If you've got a novice passing situation, you could play him on the inside with Kenny Clark and still have Rashawn Gary when he's healthy and Preston Smith and have all these guys in certain nickel and dime situations that could potentially get after the quarterback.
I see him kind of taking on the role of Gary when he first came here, his first years. I mean, some of his combine results ran a 4.58, which is nice at that size.
Whew.
But the downside is bench press was only 17. So he is young.
You can do that in your sleep.
Yeah, I could do that with 1 foot. Well, I did 15 of them.
I know. Yeah, I was there. I saw it.
So, I mean, he's a little bit of a project. He's probably going to play sparingly, kind of a spot player, depending on how quickly Gary comes back. But he's going to replace Preston Smith. Hopefully, in 3 years, he'll have his feet under him, and he'll be part of this team when they make a push, hopefully, to be a Super Bowl contender.
So when you said Rashawn Gary, that's what I was thinking of when we just had Jason on. You know, kind of a raw guy. He's got that athletics, that athleticism, the high motor. And the last time the Packers picked this high was when they decided to take Rashawn Gary in the top 15. And there were a lot of people that were upset with that pick. Why are you taking somebody this high? Well, because the Packers saw the potential in him. And I think that pick, until the knee injury, has really worked out for the Packers.
Yeah, it really has.
Because he did exactly what you thought he was going to do. Didn't do much that rookie year. Was not quite a redshirt year because he still got plenty of experience, got some opportunities. Second year got better. Third year continued to get better. And he just continued to grow and grow and grow, and that's hopefully what the Packers can do with Van Ness as well.
Well, the thing they were worried about with Gary is when he first went to the University of Michigan, he was like a top 25 recruit in the nation, and he never panned out. Like you said, his motor wasn't there, but I think now he's figured it out. He's matured. This kid's only 21 years old.
It's exciting.
You know? 21 years old, so he's got the potential to be on this team for a long time. I like that as bookends, down the road, Van Ness and Gary. It's a great pick. Great pick.
Yeah,
very happy.
I really like this pick as well. 800-990-3776. Tell us how you feel. I was curious to see this name pop up, but Trucker Mark. Trucker Mark, you are on ESPN Milwaukee and 620 WTMJ's Draft Night coverage with Gabe and Chew.
Hey, guys. I had to step outside of the club for a moment. But just so I could hear you guys both. I kind of, yeah, definitely.
I was about to say, I was so confused. He was sitting right here. Yeah, he was just sitting at the table right in front of us.
Just sitting there, yeah. But I think we struggled the most on defense last year, personally. And I think this was the better route to go. We do have some offensive weapons. We have running backs. We got a fast receiver. I think we need to secure up the defense more and save Barry's job.
Well, I don't necessarily hope they save Barry's job in the process, just because I don't think he's very good. So I don't think I would want him to stick around. But here's what I like about it, Trucker Mark. Here's what I like about this pick. And I've maintained this position whether they were at 15 or when they traded up to 13 with the New York Jets. The Packers have very rarely, over the last 30 years, picked this high in the draft. Certainly it's happened. But when you take a look at some of the other positions of need that they have, tackle, wide receiver, tight end, the Packers have done a pretty good job of finding other, in the second round, third round, guys that can fill that in. I mean, heck, the left tackle now was a fourth-round pick, and David Bakhtiari. Yosh Nijman was an undrafted guy over on the right side. Most of the great wide receivers of the last 15 years have been second- or third-round picks for the Packers. So you can find really good contributing players at those positions, I think, later in the draft. But when you look at the guys who lead the league in sacks each and every year, 60 to 70% of them were first-round picks because they have that elite athleticism that typically is associated with those first-round picks. So that's why I'm okay with them using their 13th overall pick on Lucas Van Ness.
And let me tell you this. I would not go to sleep yet. It's not the Bucks up by 16 like a lot of people went to bed last night.
What are you doing?
I'm just saying.
You're just like staring me down when you say that.
Just looked at the Jimmy Johnson list.
Ready for the Packers to trade up.
Yeah, so the 42 and 45 gets you up to the 19th pick in the first round.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they'll do that, but certainly if one of those top tight ends fall to the mid to late 20s, you might see a package deal where they wouldn't even have to give up both twos, maybe a 2 and a 3 to get there.
42 and the Packers' third could get them to 29 where the Bengals are.
All right.
Well, if they trade up, who are they going to go for?
A tight end. One of those tight ends hopefully would fall because Kincaid or Mayer.
Yeah, I mean, because plenty of those guys are on the, still all the tight ends, the pass catchers are still out there. Somehow we had 2 running backs go before any pass catchers.
And you get rid of a round where Goody doesn't do very well.
The third round.
Give him the third round.
It's a win-win all the way around, and you still get to keep the second-round pick, one of the other second-round picks. So then you still have one pick for tomorrow. Trucker Mark, we certainly appreciate you calling in, and
thank you.
Especially appreciate you coming out and supporting the show here at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, where we have been hanging out all night. We'll get back to Lucas Van Ness here in just a second, Shu. Because the Jets are, to me, in quite a conundrum here. Because they did the pick swap.
Yeah.
So now that means not only did they lose out on the top 3 tackles who went, Paris Johnson going 6, Darnell Wright to the Bears at 10, Peter Skronsky, number 11, out of Northwestern to the Titans. They lost out on Broderick Jones because the Pittsburgh Steelers traded up and took that number 14 pick to get a tackle because they knew the Jets were looking for an offensive lineman, so now who knows what the Jets do.
You know what would have been ideal right now? Ideal right now. If they didn't restructure Bakhtiari and they panicked and said, you know what, we'll take Bakhtiari.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately for the Packers.
I don't know why he did that.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Packers, that just is not.
No.
It's really a one-year deal. He's going to be around here in 2023, not in 2024. Let's go ahead and see who the New York Jets take as we get closer to the 9 o'clock hour with that pick at number 15 that used to belong to the Green Bay Packers.
The NFL is proud to be part of the global community that supports the life-changing wishes that Make-A-Wish grants. With World Wish Day only a couple days away, I'm joined by Kyle Stickles, a Make-A-Wish kid who battled and overcame bone cancer. Kyle's wish is to announce the first-round pick of his favorite team, the New York Jets. I'd like all of you to join me in cheering on Kyle as his wish comes true. The floor is yours, Kyle. Go for it, buddy.
Kid's loving it. Eat it up.
So this is the second kid we've had announce a first-round pick.
I'd also like to thank the NFL,
He's dapper,
the New York Jets,
by the way,
and the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Northeastern New York for giving me this opportunity tonight. Yeah!
That's great.
This kid's having the time of his life.
With the 15th
Who's it going to be
pick
for the Jets?
in the 2023 NFL Draft, the New York Jets, Jets, select Will McDonald, linebacker, Iowa State. Let's go!
So the Jets have gone with they've gone with linebacker. Again, everyone just assumed they would go offensive line because it's a mess. Instead, they go Will McDonald out of Iowa State as an outside linebacker. We're almost halfway through the opening round of the NFL Draft. Still plenty to come, though, here live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha on ESPN Wisconsin and 620 WTMJ.
Looking for your next night out? Q Club of Wisconsin is the hangout spot for watching sports, playing games, and having some drinks. Mike, what you got going on over there, buddy?
Hey, Gary, there's so much going on here. We've got all your favorite teams on our TVs, more pool tables than you know what to do with, and live local bands playing on Saturdays. Plus, we got bocce leagues all summer long that we're signing teams up for right now. And, of course, our fish fry piled high on Wednesdays and Fridays.
And stop by for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. Check out QClubOfWisconsin.com.
Your first night camping alone. The new tent, fully set up. Your bug spray, barely keeping up. But you got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with free overdraft protection transfers. So when you bought all those supplies and lost track of your spending, we had you covered. You got this with free overdraft protection transfers from Associated Bank. See AssociatedBank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance because you'll feel protected no matter how the wind blows. All so you can keep enjoying the home of your dreams. And our expert agents can help you save up to 23% when you bundle home with auto. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. American Family Insurance. Get a quote? Find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Look at all this space I have on my desk. Finally, no more clutter.
I know, right? Plus, now I can actually see everyone and talk to them whenever I want.
Would you stop trying to ask people if there are more doors or wheels in the world?
Speaking of wheels, these chairs, woo!
I've never been more comfortable at work.
Coakley Brothers and Brothers Interiors, the official moving and furniture provider of GKB Milwaukee.
Hey, this is Tony Smith. You're listening to 94.5 ESPN, WKTI, WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station. A new era is coming in Green Bay.
That chapter is over now, and I'm excited about the new adventure here in New York.
It starts tonight with a draft.
You know, the goals don't change around here. It's going to be the same goals we've always had, right? There's one goal here every single year, no matter what.
This is Draft Night on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Hopefully we can surround him with enough people to help him perform at the best of his ability, and then we got to do a great job as a coaching staff.
Broadcasting live from Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Here's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
There are going to be some people here in southeastern Wisconsin that are going to be Jets fans this season. And not necessarily because the former Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers is now the quarterback of Gang Green. It's because Will McDonald IV, who was just the most recent selection, number 15, to the New York Jets out of Iowa State, he played his football right here in Waukesha. As we are at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, he played at Waukesha North, and he was just selected in the first round. So a really cool story. It's not something you see all that often. A player from the state of Wisconsin played his high school football in Wisconsin going in the first round.
Yeah, how great is that? I'm sure I had one of my sons playing against him at some point in time. 15th, too.
Yeah.
That's
great spot to be.
That is really, really a good story there.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story for him. So he goes 15 overall. Washington now on the clock. Their pick is in, so we'll see who it is. But the Packers pick at 13. They decided to go with Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. And you said that your son, who has been on the coaching trail, and he was at Iowa briefly.
Yeah.
He was there when Van Ness was there.
He was there when I think he was a redshirt freshman. Like he said, big motor.
6'5", 272. It's a big boy.
Yeah, 6'5", 272. Got a lot to learn. He's only 21 years old, but I think kid obviously loves football. And we're expecting big things from him. So will he come in to Green Bay? Do they still do that, the visits?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he'll come. I mean, he'll have an introductory press conference at some point.
Oh, nice. I'm just looking.
Like this, I mean, as you're aware of, they, don't do that for everyone.
Well, they don't do it for 6-round picks, I can tell you that.
But, yes.
I was lucky to get a ride from the airport. But, Gabe, right now I'm looking at the tight end gauntlet because there's a few teams that need them. Detroit. There's a threat that they could take one. Obviously,
at 18.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who got rid of Cameron Brate.
Yeah, they could use one.
San Diego, I'm not sure. Baltimore does not. Minnesota does not. I just smell something, though.
But, I mean, you're saying that they could try to sneak back into the latter half of the first round.
To get one of those 2 kids or 3 kids to give up a second.
Well, especially
and a third.
When you start looking at the draft value charts. If you package the Packers, pick at 42 or 45, and you pair it up with their third-round pick, which is 78 overall, yeah, you can easily sneak back in. Now, if you package the 2 second-round picks, you could get in a lot earlier.
Defensive back, Mississippi State.
By the way, the Washington Commanders, that was their pick, as they just selected as they go with Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. So the New England Patriots are now on the clock. But when you look at that value chart, yeah, I'm not in love with the idea of them giving up both their second-round picks. But I think you could talk me into a second and a third, and that probably has to do something with Goody's history with third-round picks.
His inability to pick a decent player in the third round. I wouldn't have a problem either way if they just sat there. Because, like we said, so many of these teams make mistakes and try to do it all in one pick.
Yep.
When you have so many holes, it would be nice to come out of this draft with, I think they have 12 picks, come out of it with 10 players. I think they have they're tied for the most picks in this draft.
But I really like the thought, again, I just having the flexibility to do it, if that's what you want to do, which is, to me, why it was so important to make sure that the trade got done before the draft, so you had that draft capital. If you wanted to trade back into the first round, if you wanted to trade back, and whatever you wanted to do, just know what your board looked like, knew the extra picks that you had. It just gives you the most options to try to really start this rebuild. No matter what Goody wants to call it, it's a rebuild. Really start it in earnest tonight. Really start building that forward and giving Jordan Love every opportunity that he can to be successful.
Well, he's got to hit this draft because, like we said, once Rodgers was gone, obviously a lot of the focus is on Love. But Goody and LaFleur are kind of on the clock now.
Oh, yeah.
It's a matter of how much time they're going to give him. Obviously, last year was probably his best draft since he got hired. But he's got to follow it up with another one. And feed LaFleur players. We talked about it today. The strange thing is, back in the day under Holmgren, the position coaches there did a lot of the evaluating, or at least they worked in concert with the scouting staff and with Ron and his personnel guys. It's just bizarre how LaFleur and his guys don't really seem to have a hand in that.
No.
Goody kind of takes the reins and says, I will handle this side, and you handle the coaching side. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Do you think that's a part of...
I think that's part of the three-headed monster.
Yeah, but the silos they've created, everybody's kind of on equal footing, have to report up to Mark Murphy. By the way, Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon is the latest pick of the New England Patriots. He is a cornerback going to New England. So the Patriots decide to go defense, and now another NFC North team is on the clock. in the Detroit Lions.
I just think being a scout is a tough job. You're on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to evaluate. It's a tough job, but I mean, if I'm a GM, I would defer to a quarterback coach or a tight end coach or lean on them pretty heavily to see. I think the more evaluation you can get from a certain player at a certain position is the better.
Look, and at some point, someone has to be the decision maker, and the general manager is. But, I mean, getting as much input as you can from that coaching staff going, I don't know if this player is going to necessarily fit what we do. Because the Packers, that's been a lot of the talk about Dalton Kincaid, whether or not they trade back into the first round and get him, whether they sit back and hope he falls to 42 and they pick him up tomorrow. But somebody like Kincaid, who's been a great pass-catching weapon, you also need to be a pretty decent blocker in this scheme, in this system, in order for a lot of the runs and play-action passing to work for the Green Bay Packers. I mean, so that's something that I think would factor into whether you would take someone like Dalton Kincaid.
And it would not surprise me if they take multiple tight ends in this draft.
No, they almost have to.
I mean,
because of the lack of experience at that position.
Well, Gunga Lagunga. I mean, you know what you have in him right now. I don't think
he's like a fullback.
Anything better than a third. And I don't see him pivoting offensively or doing anything drastically different than when Aaron was here. This offense kind of screams for two pretty good tight ends.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, obviously you want one that's going to be able to lead the charge and be the guy, but they just need to completely rebuild that position. They've got a little bit of a head start at wide receiver based on their draft from last year and having the three guys to build around. They still need bodies at wide receiver, but they almost have to rebuild that position from scratch because, yes, you have Gunga Lagunga, as you like to call him, and for those who are unfamiliar, that's Josiah DeGuara. And then you have the guy that Tyler Davis, who Tausch affectionately calls Smitty. He has 8 career catches.
Yeah. I mean, he's young, but I thought he would take
that young.
Well, I thought he'd take a step this year, and he really
didn't.
He didn't.
So I almost feel like he's back. If they had another option, I feel like he's only back just because they're so barren at that position, and they don't have any better options, so they decided to bring him back, and that's the reason that he's on the roster. Or maybe they really like him on special teams in a capacity that we just don't see every Sunday.
Well, it's just it's a difficult personnel group to defend when you have. I mean, I go back to me and Keith. You know, we bring in what we used to call Tiger back in the day, which is the 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, 1 back.
Tiger.
What do? Do you go nickel? If you came in with nickel, we're running the ball.
Yep.
Do you stay big? If you stay big, we're going to throw the ball. It's just such if you can have 2 quality tight ends, it's just such a tough package to defend.
And hopefully the Packers can find a way to get a couple of tight ends. What if some of these tight ends fall and they take one at 42 and another tight end at 45?
I mean, that wouldn't be horrible. We said skills.
Yeah.
I think tight end skill adjacent, at least some of them. Right? Taking a shot at myself.
They score touchdowns.
Yes.
They score touchdowns.
Yes.
And that's what we're looking for out of the draft for the Green Bay Packers. But they selected somebody who does not score touchdowns. The Packers decided to take Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. We'll continue to talk about him. You can react along with us. 800-990-3776. What does this do for the Green Bay Packers defense? We'll let you know. Coming up next, live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
We're back with draft coverage coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Is your next charity fundraising event looking for sports memorabilia merchandise? For over 20 years, Jeff Sports has been partnering with charities and providing them with the greatest sports memorabilia. Their program is simple and has a 100% no-risk guarantee. Let Jeff Sports help you raise more money for your next event. For more information, stop into Jeff Sports in Brookfield or check them out at their website at jeffsports.com. That's jeffsports.com.
Hey, it's Jason Wilde for Racine Danish Kringles. Mother's Day is Sunday, May 14th, and you can ship Mom something just as sweet as she is. A Kringle from Racine Danish Kringles. Get her favorite Kringle in a specially designed Mother's Day gift box. Just go to Kringle.com or call 1-800-4DANISH to order. Have it conveniently shipped right to Mom, and consider surprising your sister, aunt, or grandmother too with a Kringle. Again, Kringle.com or 1-800-4DANISH. Racine Danish Kringles. It's not just a treat, it's a tradition.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Cousin Subs wants to make you a VIP. On Saturday, June 4th, Donald Driver will be hosting his charity softball game at Fox City Stadium in Appleton, Wisconsin. Cousins and Double D are teaming up to offer you a chance to be their VIP guest. The VIP winner will win a package that includes a meet and greet with Double D and Jordy Nelson, VIP seating, food and beverage, and Cousins Subs for a year. Enter daily at cousinsubs.com/softball now through May 15th. Cousins Subs, we believe in better.
Hello, baseball fans. Jeff Levering here, calling the action with the amazing team at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. And what a roster we have. Up to bat is Pella's award-winning Easy Slide innovation. Wow, what a smooth glide. Pella's sliding windows are incredibly easy to maneuver, wider than they are tall. They glide horizontally, letting in lots of natural light and unobstructed views. And that roll? It's a double play. Pella's premium roll screens operate like magic. Close the window and the screen rolls away completely out of sight. Now that is slick. On deck is Pella's Reserve Series patio door. Just look at that slide. It's a perfect fit. Pella Reserve patio doors offer virtually unlimited sizes and custom colors, and they're backed up with the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Pella sure is one heck of a 5-tool player, and you can bring any number of their all-star innovations home for 0% for 48 months when you order by April 30th. Visit PellaWI.com for this amazing deal.
Certain restrictions apply.
One call, that's all. It's not just a slogan, but a way of life at Gruber Law Offices. If you've been injured, call our team today. We've represented tens of thousands of injured Wisconsinites for well over 30 years. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Jack Campbell, not only the latest player to be taken out of Iowa, inside linebacker, he's the latest pick of the Detroit Lions at number 18. The Packers also taking somebody out of Iowa, Lucas Van Ness, as we discussed that pick at number 13. He's Mark Chmura, I'm Gabe Knight, so we are hanging out at the Q Club of of Wisconsin in Waukesha. I'm actually kind of bummed, too, that we're not here. I wish the draft was on a Wednesday night, because you keep talking about the fish fry they have out here, that kind of, that they have it tomorrow night, so maybe we won't be out here, but maybe you can swing out here, watch rounds 2 and 3 of the draft, and get yourself delicious fish fry at the Q Club of Wisconsin. What grade would you give the pick for the Packers of Lucas Van Ness?
It's tough right now because they say it takes 3 years to be able to grade a draft or a player, but based upon what we said for the last couple weeks, how a rush end was high on our priority list.
Yeah,
I'd give it a B plus, A minus.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd say B+.
Yeah.
I really like it. Again, because I think as much as the offense still needs to have playmakers and difference makers around Jordan Love, there are, despite them spending countless amounts of their draft picks in the first round and second round and high draft picks and high money and investing so much into that defense, they've gotten so much of it wrong.
Yes.
So it almost seems like you have to keep chasing, and if you're faced with having a pretty good athlete that you really like in Lucas Van Ness, I don't think that means you can just turn that down because, well, we've spent so much on the defense, I guess we have to spend on the offense now. I still think you can find good difference-making players later, either in the first round if you like to trade back in, or at 42 and 45, because, I mean, there have not been, outside of 2 running backs taken, which Jahmyr Gibbs going at 12 out of Alabama to the Detroit Lions was very shocking, and Bijan Robinson goes to Texas. There have not been any skill offensive players taken. There have not been any pass catchers taken as we sit here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock at number 19.
And that Smith is in Jigba out of Ohio State still on the board. It has to have something to do with the year he took off.
Yeah. Essentially, he played a couple of games, I'm pretty sure, this last year.
What if they trade up to get him? I mean, right now they have the ammunition to get to this pick.
They do.
With the 2 second-round picks.
They do.
Would you rather have the tight end or him? If they were going to trade, if you saw the Packers are moving up to 22, would you want Kincaid or Smith?
I think I'd want Kincaid. And I don't know what about Jackson Smith and Jigba. Maybe it's because I haven't seen him be that difference making. Yeah, he was a good player in 2021, but we didn't get to see him be that difference maker last year. And then somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr. really emerges out of Ohio State. So then you're going, okay, do they just have a wide receiver factory at Ohio State? How good was Jackson Smith and Jigba? There are just a lot of questions to me about Jackson Smith and Jigba. And by the way, I think it's worth noting this, Ju. A lot of teams said that there were only 13 to 15 picks that they had first-round grades on.
Yes.
So clearly he's somebody with a second-round grade. If somebody had a first-round grade on him, they'd probably trade back in or trade up to go get him. So he can just continue. He may just continue to fall if there are other players, teams also have second-round grades on.
See, I'd rather have Mayer, though, from the tight end spot because he might not be as athletic as Kincaid, but we already know the guy can block.
Mm-hmm.
And we know he's a good pass catcher.
Yeah.
Probably not as fast as Kincaid. But Kincaid, all we know about this guy right now is that he is a pass catcher. We don't know if he'll ever be able to block. I mean, look at when they drafted Sternberger, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the same kind of player, right? We knew he couldn't block. We knew in college he was a pretty good receiver, and that didn't pan out.
How good of a blocker were you coming out of?
Oh, that's terrible. Thank God for Andy Reid. I didn't have to block anyone really in college.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we were one of the few teams that split out the tight end and did a lot of different things with them, put them in motion. They didn't ask me to block a lot. So I had to literally come here and commit myself to wanting to be able to do it. I was not. I mean, I came out, Gabe, I was 6'6", 238.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wasn't very big. So, I was a project. But back then, they waited on projects. And, of course, the college system is a lot different today. I mean, the weight rooms they have, you actually get
strength coaches.
You get supplementation now. Back in the day, you didn't get anything. You got a bologna sandwich and a bus ticket. You know what I mean?
I guess this seems like a weird question to ask, but I think it's the question. How long did it take you to learn how to block efficiently at the NFL level?
To where I was decent going into my third year, to where I was considered one of the best, probably fourth or fifth year.
Okay.
Yeah. So it takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
And I guess at this point, because not that I wouldn't mind a project, because we just mentioned that Lucas Van Ness might be a bit of a project at 21 years old and a lot of the raw tools that he has. But the window for the Packers to start competing for Super Bowls, at best, it's 3 years away.
3 years, I would say. I mean, if you look at this Van Ness coming in, he's going to have the same rookie year as Rashard Gary. Rashard Gary didn't light the world on fire.
No.
I mean, don't expect 13 sacks from this kid. I mean, playing and I've always said this. I always thought the jump from high school to college would be bigger than college to pro. It's not even close. It is not even close. The jump from college to pro is enormous because everyone can play. Look at a typical team. Look at Nebraska, right? A good program in the Big Ten. How many kids will they have drafted?
Couple.
3?
Yeah.
You know? In the NFL, everyone's good.
Yeah.
Even the bad guys are good.
Yeah.
You know? So that's just that's why it takes so much time. There's so much information you have to learn that you have to process that it gets in the way of your natural ability. It takes 3 or 4 years to where it just becomes natural, where you don't have to think about it. You know? It's like golf. First time you pick up a golf club, even though you have a lot of talent, you're like, but you play for 4, 5, 6 years, and you're like, okay, I got it. No, I'm out of my swing. You know, it's kind of the same thing.
You just kind of know. You know what's going on. You're aware of your surroundings.
In the coaching at the college level, and I'm not talking Alabama, Clemson. I'm talking, down the line schools. It's not as good. It's not as good. You get to the professional level, and it's very good, and they can spend a lot more time with them. But it's going to take some time.
And it's so if they take a guy that maybe is a little bit more of a project than Kincaid, but I guess I would rather have the guy that I know can block and I also know can be a difference maker in the passing game with Mayer. Even though he seemingly has fallen on some draft boards.
Yeah. When did 4.71 become slow? You know what I mean? The guy ran a 4.71 at the combine. He's like, oh, he's not really fast.
No, he's not. That's just the way the world works now.
That's pretty damn fast to me.
I don't know if it was Vernon Davis who ruined it for everyone. Vernon Davis ran a pretty good 40 when he was coming out, played all those years for the mostly for the San Francisco 49ers, eventually played a little bit in Washington as well. But, yeah, 4.71, not very fast anymore.
He sure was dumb, but he could run fast.
We are waiting on the Seattle Seahawks to make their pick as they are right now at number 20. Again, the Packers pick is Lucas Van Ness. The headline so far, as we are almost 20 picks into the NFL draft, no pass catchers have gone, no tight ends, no wide receivers. The only skill position players on the offensive side that have gone outside of the quarterbacks, 2 running backs, and Will Levis also continuing to fall. Could he go right now to the Seattle Seahawks as they look for a quarterback of the future to replace Geno Smith after his contract runs up 3 years from now? We'll see who the Seattle Seahawks take. Plus, we will continue to break down this pick of Lucas Van Ness as we are going to be joined by Gary Ellerson. Gary joins the program next as this is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
More green and gold draft talk coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
At Evans Transportation, they love the sound of Milwaukee baseball. Bats cracking, crowds cheering, brats grilling. And Evans is a big fan of manufacturing runs, both on the diamond and in supply chain management. When manufacturers have accounting, shipping, and tracking needs, they come to Evans. Because just like in baseball, teams who know how to manufacture runs have the best chance of long-term success. Good luck to the Brew Crew from Evans and Delafield. Find them at evanstrans.com.
Mark Tosher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Well, are you ready for a new shower? If you are, Kohler Services is a local end-to-end bath and shower design and remodel service brought to you by Kohler, a family-owned business in Wisconsin for over 150 years. Kohler is the only manufacturer offering fast, professional installation and care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit kswisconsin.com to request your free quote and tell them that I sent you. Again, that's kswisconsin.com.
Fisco is always there for your auto body care. When accidents happen, Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin is there when you need them. Got a broken mirror? They'll take care of it. dented bumper, scratch paint, Fisco Auto Body will take care of it. If there's any damage you need fixed, Fisco has you covered. Their expert workmanship is guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. So stop in for all of your auto bumps and dings. Once again, you know the line. That's Fisco, Fisco, Fisco.
Your first time biking to work. Your new helmet? Secure. Your bike? Road ready. You got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with Access Checking. It's maintenance fee-free with no minimum balance requirements. So even if down the road that bike needs a little maintenance, at least your checking account won't. You've got this with Access Checking from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
Looking for your next night out? Q Club of Wisconsin is the hangout spot for watching sports, playing games, and having some drinks. Mike, what you got going on over there, buddy?
Hey, Gary, there's so much going on here. We've got all your favorite teams on our TVs, more pool tables than you know what to do with, and live local bands playing on Saturdays. Plus, we got bocce leagues all summer long that we're signing teams up for right now. And, of course, our fish fry piled high on Wednesdays and Fridays.
And stop by for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. Check out QClubOfWisconsin.com.
Cedar Ridge Distillery continues to make a home right here in Wisconsin. The original 86 bourbon is the best-selling bourbon in Iowa for 3 straight years, and you have the opportunity to get that here in Wisconsin. Also, the Quintessential, the best American single malt, voted by John Barleycorn Awards, and Cedar Ridge manages every step of the production from grain to glass. Make sure you pick up the Scalzo and Bruss Private Barrel of bourbon and rye whiskeys, available at Discount Liquor at 51st in Oklahoma or Barstow in Maine in downtown Waukesha.
Standing at the edge of a rocky shore, you breathe in the cool, salty air, watching the sun disappear on the horizon. Across the globe, someone begins their day along a sandy beach, listening to the rhythm of the crashing waves. You each envision a world beneath the water, vibrant life in every imaginable form. Now, imagine it's all gone. What was once a place of wonder and beauty is now a dull, lifeless wasteland. Food, jobs, medicine, all gifts from the ocean, all gone. Time is running out to protect our oceans, and without our love, everything the oceans provide can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our oceans. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
You're listening to Draft Night coverage, live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
For those of you who maybe were hoping the Packers would slip back into the first round and grab Jackson Smith-Njigba, he is gone.
Where'd he go? He went to Seattle.
Number 20 to the Seattle Seahawks as the first pass catcher of the first round is gone, as we are now joined by Gary Ellerson. Of course, he was on the Dungeon Trio Radio Network pregame show this past season, and the former Packer, former Badger, joining us here on our Draft Night coverage live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. So where we start, Gary, is how do you feel? How do you feel about the pick the Packers made of Lucas Van Ness?
So.
What were you hoping for?
You know what? I really like Skoronski. I really like the kid from Ohio State, the wide receiver. Kincaid, too high, but I was hoping that they trade back maybe to get a tight end. I get the pick with the kid from Iowa. I understand it. I mean, if you don't get the results you need from Preston Smith, if you're looking at Rashawn Gary and if he's not going to be available, I mean, I understand the pick. I was just looking for more of a splash. I mean, they spent a lot of draft capital on the defense here in the last 4 or 5 years. And I just feel like there's really, okay, Gary played well, then blew his knee out, but the defense is not playing up to the level where they're picking these guys.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, with the amount of money, not just the draft picks, but that's where they spent a lot of the money. The one time that Brian Gutekunst really dove into free agency when he got not just Preston Smith, but Darius Smith and obviously Adrian Amos, with now Z and Adrian Amos no longer members of the Green Bay Packers team. I guess I just look at it this way. I come to expect that they're going to take a defensive player. I like the pick just because if you're going to find a pass rusher, typically, Gary, it's those guys that are in the top 15, those first-round guys that can get after the quarterback, that lead the league in sacks every year. Whereas you can find, as the Packers have, Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and guys like that in the second round.
Yeah, and they've been able to do that. So kudos to their organization. I mean, they've done that very well. And so, I mean, I get it, but Van Ness, I'm just trying to figure out where does he fit? What is he going to do for him? I started thinking about maybe is it a Bryce Pop kind of a deal? Is it like Tony Bennett? Is that kind of a deal? How will they use him within this defense?
They probably don't even know yet until they get hands on him, Gary. The other question I wanted to ask you is the running back position. A.J. Dillon, I don't know if he can be a feature back. Aaron Jones seems to be on a one-year deal, and then he's probably going to move on. How early, or if at all, do you want to see him start trying to replace Aaron Jones in this draft?
I think they need to figure out where they're going to draft the running back in this draft now, because Aaron Jones is often nicked up, and I agree with you about A.J. Dillon. I think he's a compliment to somebody else. I don't think he's your
I don't think
guy.
He's a feature back.
No, so I think in this draft they need to figure out the replacement for Aaron Jones, and then because Aaron Jones he's doing well, he's making a lot of money, but right now if you start talking about the locker room, he may be your leader in that locker room right now from an offensive standpoint, other than David Bakhtiari, of course.
Yeah, and I would be surprised if both of them are still around as we talk with Gary Ellerson here on Draft Night coverage on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ. Chewy and I are live from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. And I guess that's what I'm looking at. You were just talking about, okay, you got to find that replacement potentially at some point in this draft at running back. To me, that's what Van Ness is. Your question, Gary, of what does he do? Yeah. My guess is he's going to be very similar to what Rashawn Gary was when they drafted him back in 2019. They had both Preston and Za'Darius, but then they had the third guy ready to go when Za'Darius left. I don't know how much longer Preston Smith is going to be here, so my guess is Lucas Van Ness will be the third pass rusher this year. They'll have some different packages for him, but he'll be ready to be the starting outside linebacker next year when presumably Preston Smith is not here. Are you on board with that plan?
See, and that's the problem that I have with it. And I get long term. I understand. It's not about today. But doesn't it need to be about today? I mean, are we now drafting guys to wait 2-3 years on? I mean, I thought the kid from Ohio State, and I think he's ready to go right now. I think maybe the Mayer kid from Notre Dame, Kincaid, I think those guys can give you something right now. I mean, it feels like in Van Ness, you drafted a guy that you're looking to give you something 2-3 years down the road. Chewy, is that where we are right now?
I think so. I mean, looking at it with the holes in this roster, I think that's a fair assessment. First of all, they have to see what they have in Jordan Love. See if he doesn't have to be a Hall of Fame player. He doesn't have to be a superstar. He's just got to be a good player, which he has the potential to be, which is what I wanted to ask you, Gary. With the Aaron Rodgers saga, did you agree with moving on from him?
Oh, absolutely. I was tired of that drama. and I just,
you're not alone.
I'm so done with that, dude. I mean, it was so much. And I believe that if you're looking to how about this? You can win games, I believe, with Aaron Rodgers, but with all the drama, you can't win championships with a guy like that. Because I think he divides so many people. If you're dividing the fan base, there's got to be some sort of divide also within that locker room. And then you got everybody doing their own thing. I think at some point it hurts your team as a whole. So, yeah, I was ready to move on with Jordan Love. He may not be the guy. I still think the Packers may need to draft a quarterback somewhere in his draft. I love to see them bring in maybe Matt Ryan as a backup to Jordan Love, someone that Matt LaFleur is familiar with. And then we can see what he's got. I mean, I don't know. We've had great quarterbacks, the last 30 years. I agree with you, Chewy, when you say we just need for this guy not necessarily to be serviceable. We need to see what Matt LaFleur's offense is all about, and can Jordan Love fit that?
I just think, Gary, you get so tired of walking on eggshells everywhere with him in the building, you know?
Yeah.
What kind of mood is he going to be in? Who's he going to yell at? Is he going to yell at LaFleur? Is Goody being nice to him? It just wrecks the chemistry of a team. And I think I really think they're going to go back to having fun. Because they don't know
and I really hope
these guys they're all young.
Well, they are, but I still feel like, you know, until they need to rally around 10. They need to rally around Jordan Love now that Rodgers is gone. I mean, I know there's some guys in that locker room who absolutely love and adore Aaron Rodgers, but I think that there's got to be a shift in everybody to get down now with Jordan Love and see what he can do. You're right. The offense now skews a little young, and it is a young man's game. Defensively, you know, they've got a lot of young players over there. I like to see them come together as a team. I think we saw a lot of stuff with this team last year where they really wasn't a team. The Detroit Lions game in the last year shows you how bad that they really were. They were not a team.
No, not at all.
Talking with Gary Ellerson as he joins us live here from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha, home of our draft night coverage. Now that the Packers' first-round pick is come and gone, number 13, they take Lucas Van Ness, defensive end out of the University of Iowa. What's next on your list? What's top on your list in terms of positions that you think need to be filled by the Packers, Gary?
I still would love to see them get a tight end at some point tomorrow. I would. They have a problem at tackle, so they need to figure that out with Josh Nijman, with Bakhtiari. I mean, maybe they don't bring Bakhtiari back after this season, so they need a fill-in for that. I agree with you. They need to figure out the running back spot. They've got a lot of holes. I mean, they really do. So to me, they do. And so to me, I would say, and it's one of these things that you say the best player available that fits them. I think that's where they need to go. If it's a tight end draft, to me, the second day should be some of these tight ends. Or if there's one that you can get in the third round, by all means, you can do that as well.
I mean, when you have a kicker as one of your holes, you got a lot of holes.
Oh, my God.
You know?
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
This guy here. You said it right, man. But I think they bring Mason Crosby back. I don't know how you not bring him back. Kicking in Lambeau Field is not the easiest thing to do.
No, it's not.
No, now with the wind swirling, and then it gets cold, and the season just keeps getting later and later with more games they add to the season, so it just gets tougher to cut and tougher to kick inside Lambeau Field. Gary, we certainly appreciate the time, appreciate your insight. I know you had a long day as well today with some of the other draft responsibilities that you had, so we appreciate you jumping on the phone and helping us out on our draft night coverage here on 94.5 ESPN at 620 WTMJ.
Thanks, Gary.
No problem. I'll see you later. Bye.
Gary Ellerson joining us as he helps us break down the Packers' pick at number 13 of Lucas Van Ness. Could be a run on wide receivers. Jackson Smith and Jigba went to 20. Then it was Quentin Johnson going at number 21 for the Los Angeles Chargers going at wide receiver. Now on the clock, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and they could use a wide receiver. They know who their quarterback is, as they got Lamar Jackson locked up to a 5-year extension earlier today. That's good for them to kind of lock that up and know. Again, it's just good for them, much like the Packers getting their trade done for Aaron Rodgers. Okay, now we know what we have in terms of our draft capital for the Ravens. Okay, now we know for sure we have Lamar Jackson. We can continue to try to build around him, try to get him more weapons in terms of pass catchers, because they really haven't done a great job of drafting a lot of good wide receivers there. They had Hollywood Brown, who had a 1,000-yard season a couple of years ago, but he was traded away to the Cardinals. We'll see who the Ravens take at number 22, and we are going to wrap things up from the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Coming up next, this is Draft Night coverage on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
We're back with draft coverage coming up on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
Hey, this is Bo stepping in for Ridgetop Larry. Ridgetop Exteriors is Wisconsin's #1 choice for roofing, siding, windows, and doors. We are the trusted local experts who live and work in the areas we serve, which means we're helping friends and neighbors too. On top of that, Ridgetop Exteriors offers the most affordable payment options, including no interest and low interest financing. For your free estimate, visit ridgetopexteriors.com. Roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Visit ridgetopexteriors.com.
If you have joint pain and they're telling you surgery is your best option, please stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Tony Smith. The professionals at QC Kinetics use the latest, most advanced regenerative treatments to bring lasting pain relief the natural way. Regenerative medicine harnesses your own body's healing agents to restore and repair damaged tissue in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, and back. The precision treatments are done in the office with no drugs and no downtime. QC Kinetics has hundreds of clinics all over America and thousands of satisfied patients. If your joints are aching from arthritis or injury, look beyond steroids and surgery and discover the amazing possibilities with regenerative medicine. Especially this time of year, you need to be living life to the fullest and doing the stuff you love to do. If you can get relief and avoid going under the knife, doesn't it make sense to check it out? Call QC Kinetics now. It's a free consultation, no obligations. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Don't wait. 414-285-3474.
The Club at Lac La Belle is the birthplace of golf in Wisconsin, with a rich history you will feel once you arrive. Experience a round at the Club at Lac La Belle. The redesigned course is open to the public 7 days a week. Schedule your tee time today at club@laclabelle.com. This is a golf destination that you will want to play over and over again, and enjoy fine dining and event space after your round. An historic past meets a vibrant future. Go to club@laclabelle.com to start your journey.
There's only one place in Milwaukee where every day of the year, dreams and reality get together for a great time. Where you can walk in a player and walk out a winner. That place, Potawatomi Casino Hotel. With fantastic dining, gaming, sports betting, a luxurious hotel, and endless ways to win, the excitement never stops. The only thing missing is you. Your win is waiting, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Visit our website to learn more. Must be 21 to enter casino.
Milwaukee has relied on Ewald Automotive to keep them on the road for almost 60 years. We've been on a mission to provide the best experience, whether you're servicing your car or shopping for a new one. Ewald may span across southeast Wisconsin, but our commitment remains local. Our customers are our neighbors. We live, work, and raise our families together in the same communities. And that's why it's our goal to help you find the right car for your family.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Draft Night coverage live from Q Club of Wisconsin on 94.5 ESPN and 620 WTMJ.
It's real. Jackson Smith-Njigba goes 20. Going next is Quentin Johnson at 21. Then at 22 was Zay Flowers going. So 3 straight wide receivers have been selected in the NFL draft. Obviously not good for the Packers if they were thinking about taking a wide receiver, but they got their guy. Lucas Van Ness, number 13 out of Iowa, listed as defensive end, likely playing outside linebacker for the Packers. One of their divisional rivals, the Minnesota Vikings, are on the clock as of right now with about 4.5 minutes to go before they have to make their selection. Overall, I think it's going to be a good night for the Packers. Still all the tight ends out there. If you are curious, in order to get back into the first round, the Packers, if they were to trade 42 and their third-round pick, that could get them to where the Buffalo Bills are at 27.
But would you agree with me that both of those tight ends, Kincaid and Mayer, will not make it till 42? I think they're going to have to trade up at some point in time when they start sniffing, because you're going to go on a run here of teams that have tight end as a high priority. Dallas is one, and New Orleans, I believe, is the other. So I just don't see them making it to 42 if that's their plan, to get one of these two guys. And I'd really like to see one of them in the green and gold. So.
And I would be on board if they were to trade back, get back in with Buffalo, depending upon what the Bills are looking to do. Again, going from 27 all the way back to 42, you're asking quite a bit. But if the Packers, according to the NFL trade value charts that you can easily find online, it is the Packers at 42, and their third-round pick could get them back into the first round. And it's not like we're going anywhere. With our draft night coverage, it will continue here on 94.5 ESPN. We'll just send it back to the studio as Ben Brust and Kyle Wallace will have us covered for the rest of the evening and the rest of the first round, just in case the Packers get a little itch and they want to, trade back into the first round, which would be a wild ending to what is, and really this is, Chewy, the official beginning of the new era. They traded Aaron Rodgers officially earlier this week, and now they are trying to rebuild this franchise to get back to being what their expectations are, of being title town, competing for championships. That begins in earnest tonight.
Well, if you look I believe it was the last time, because last year they had 2 first-round picks, but one of Ted Thompson's better draft is when they got Raji, and then they traded up to get Clay Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And that really jump-started the team that eventually won the Super Bowl in 2010.
Yeah, so I just have a feeling that they're going to have to do something if they really like those guys to move up the board to get them, which I would not have a problem with. I think day one or even early day 2, if you get 2 of those positions we talked about for the last couple of weeks filled, I would be feeling pretty good about this draft.
And there was something that Gary Ellerson brought up earlier when he was on with us about, I get it. If you are a Packers fan and you see Lucas Van Ness, and it's another defensive player, and then you hear the scouting report on Lucas Van Ness, which we've gone over, high-energy guy, but he's very raw, very young, needs a lot of coaching, needs a lot, kind of reminds us of Rashawn Gary when he was drafted, even though he was the third outside linebacker, and all these different, as Rashawn Gary continued to build toward what he eventually has become for the Packers. I understand how that's not very exciting for 2023. But realistically, I know Homer has said this. I know we've said this, Chew. The only thing that matters in 2023 is how good Jordan Love is. Yep. And if he shows those signs of promise, and they win 6-7 games, whatever number you want to throw out there, fine. But if he shows that promise, and then you've got some young players that are developing along with him, like a Lucas Van Ness, like the wide receiver core that you have. Maybe if you grab a tight end here with your next pick, whether that's trading back in or at 42, then you kind of feel like you have something. So I don't think they need to make, if they make more picks that are young guys, that are raw athletically and a little bit more of a project, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for this team.
No, this is a process. Okay, this is a process. You build through the draft. And the other side of it, is you have to get cap healthy. That's why they got rid of Rodgers. They are not cap healthy right now, but look at the look at the Bears, where they were at. They were in cap hell a couple of years ago, and now they got $100 million to spend. So I think Goody's process is built through the draft. We're not going to spend anything on free agency until we get healthy. Let's see what kind of a team we have, and then plug more holes with free agents as we go.
The way he did back in 2019. I think your mentality as a Packers fan, especially around the draft, just has to change just ever so slightly, just a little bit, because we have been in win-now mode, I mean, for the majority of the last 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there are years here and there where you're not in that, we got to get somebody to help Rodgers, we got to do this, we got to, plug these holes. Yeah, those holes need to be filled, without a doubt. But they don't need to be filled today. They can be filled tomorrow.
I know all the listeners can't go back to as far as when I first joined the Packers, but it was a process. In 92, we showed flashes, but we struggled. 93, we were better, but we struggled. 94, we were getting pretty good. And then 95, we had a chance.
Yep.
We were a team that could win the Super Bowl, and that's all we're saying. And give it 3 years, maybe 2 if we're lucky, but give it 3. If all things go well, we'll be back in that mix trying to battle to win it all.
That's Goody and LaFleur. If it ends up being 2 years, that's them pulling all the right levers.
Yes.
The way that Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy did back in 2008, 2009. You mentioned the 2009 draft, but it was more than just that draft. It was, and I know it became kind of so many fans that wanted to fire Dom Capers at the end. But Dom was a big reason why they won a Super Bowl back in 2010. Yes, eventually it got to a point where they had to move on, but he was fantastic initially as the defensive coordinator, and those picks that they gave him a lot of tools to play with. By the way, Jordan Addison is the latest pick, the 4th consecutive wide receiver to go. He is heading to Minnesota as the Vikings look to revamp their offense. Adam Thielen gone, but now maybe Jordan Addison could be a slot receiver that they have out of USC to pair up with Justin Jefferson.
I just don't think it happens in 2, Gabe, because I just don't see next year's. We'll be cap healthier,
but all the way.
We're not going to get to the point where we can, let's go get 2 studs out there to help this team wherever we need them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I go with the 3. I mean, 2 would be
I would
wonderful.
agree. Yeah, 2 would be great, but just about everything would have to go perfectly in order for that to happen. Very few mistakes would have to be, not just by Brian Gutekunst in the way he puts together the roster, but Matt LaFleur, his choice of coaches, the way he coaches and gets everybody up, ready to go.
Well, I think today was a good start.
I think it was a great start.
I'm happy with the pick.
I'm happy. I'm with you. I'm happy with the pick of Lucas Van Ness, because when you have a top 15 pick, having somebody that can beat elites rushing the passer, it's such a great gift to have in the NFL. And when you're struggling finding safeties, guess what can help?
Yeah.
Guys who can get after the quarterback.
And you know what I love? High motor guys. Love high, like the Bosa's, high motor.
Yeah.
Aaron Campman, high motor. Bryce Pop, big motor. Guys that just don't stop and they're relentless in all they want to do. They're competitors because they just want to win. And that's what we want.
Big thank you to everybody here at the Q Club of Wisconsin in Waukesha. Huge thank you to Homer and Greg Matzik, who were here earlier today. But don't worry, the draft coverage is not going anywhere. The rest of the first round, you are going to be in the hands of Ben Brust and Kyle Wallace back in the Gerber offices. One Call, That's All studios as draft night continues here on ESPN Milwaukee and 620 WTMJ.
Over the past year, we've been hard at work improving our sales processes, expanding and remodeling our facilities, investing in new technology, and